pushed it. Your live buttons.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Good morning.
Hang on, my damn headphones aren't working. All right, there we no. What do we? All right, I think are we good now? We're good now. We did it.
I was going to say you've been talking on the air, but I mean, you know.
Oh, no. The
right.
mic's good. I'm good. I'm great. The mic's good. I got a loose connection. It's time to buy new cans is the problem, and I am. It's not that I'm cheap. It's that I'm in full-on money-saving mode right now because I was warned, but was unaware how expensive weddings are, and we're kind of in the process now where we got to start cutting checks, you know? We got to start putting down deposits. We got to start paying people. And I knew it was going to be expensive. Plenty of you guys, when the announcement went out that we had gotten engaged, like the message I got more than anything was, Rob, first off, congratulations. Second off, sell everything you own because it's not going to be cheap. And part of that is because, like, she and I both won. It's not even about the wedding. It's about the rager, right? We're only inviting like 50 people. Respect to everybody. We're inviting like 50 people. But we're keeping it low key. But the 50 that are showing up, it's going to be an absolute rager. And we were like, we can't. Neither she nor I is capable of doing anything, Zoe, without it being extra AF.
All right. Now I got to ask you, how do you pay for this? That would be what you're doing right now, right? Your job. So if faulty headphones cost you your job, then what was it worth?
Well, I don't think I can't imagine they're going to cost me my job.
I don't know. There was a lot of hesitation at the beginning of the show that would be frowned upon greatly by, someone down the hall.
You're not wrong. Real bad start.
And so that alone could justify the fact that you need to go buy new headphones. I mean, you don't have to go buy the most expensive ones. There's some cheap ones out there. Or you could go down there and make a sound investment that might last you a couple years, which would probably be the good move.
These are the ones I've had since I bought these when I moved here.
Okay.
When I moved here on day one, I was like, oh, damn, I don't have headphones. So I went and I got these, and they've lasted me till now. I got the dollars worth out of these.
Guitar Center is like that direction. You just roll down there. You can try them on, see what fits best for your head, and buy you some Guitar Center headphones.
What's best for your big ass head, Rob?
Well, I can't order mine online because they ain't going to fit. I got to go somewhere and make sure
customized cans.
No, this is not a joke. I have to go to a place and try the headphones on because my head is long. It just is. I can't help it. It's not my fault. Does it? It's just the truth. So I have to go try. There might be headphones that are like the best headphones out there. They're noise canceling. They bring out all the bass, everything you need, but they'll like fit above my ears because they won't come down all the way onto my ears.
All I know is if I get canned because of my cans, it's going to be a very sad day. Ladies and gentlemen.
It'd be ironic, wouldn't it?
Don't you think? We have got a show lined up for you today on the radio broadcast. A lot to get. Let me tell you what this show sounds like to me. Yesterday evening, I was invited to, and thanks again to Mr. Michael Pius, Executive Director of the First Tee of the Upstate. Michael invited me out yesterday. The First Tee did their annual kickoff party, right? So got the opportunity yesterday to go up to, it was at Top Golf. Got to go up to Top Golf, got to spend a few minutes with the big wigs in the golf world of the Upstate, got to hit a couple of absolute bleep rockets.
Can I ask you something? So I've seen Top Golf, but I've never been. If you're like on one of the higher levels, is there something to stop you from falling off?
Yeah, there's a big long net. Yeah.
So if you were to fall off, a net would catch you?
Yes.
Because a family member is going there soon, and he is not very coordinated, and I have concerns.
Happy out here catching strays on the show at 6:04 a.m.
You've seen him bowl.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I'm a little worried about that.
That's fair. So we were at Top Golf yesterday, throwing out absolute and entire rockets with the driver last night, and got to hear some stories from some of the young folks that are being benefited by First. It was a phenomenal event. Had a great time. Thanks again to Michael for the invite. But got back to the house last night after the event, sat down in the chair, and if you're a lesser host, this is the worst time of the year because football's off season destroys a lot of radio programs. It destroys a lot of programs because, to me, this is the time of year where you have two options. You can either lean on incendiary and inflammatory hot takes for attention, or you can talk about other sports on a sports talk radio show. But yesterday evening was the first time as I sat in the bro cave and watched Nuggets Suns, watched Clemson Cuse, watched Georgia Tech get a home dub over Wake, etc., etc. Yesterday was the first day in a minute that I'm like, all right, tomorrow's show's going to be real interesting because we've got the NFL franchise tag deadline that is now come and gone. But I also recognize that I don't say this in a disrespectful way, the overwhelming majority of folks who listen to sports talk radio are, by and large, casual sports fans. Sports fans nonetheless, but casual sports fans. They aren't overly concerned with the franchise tags or the salary cap. If there are roster moves they care about, it is only roster moves for their team. And it's predominantly only about trades, signings, and cuts, of which there were a handful yesterday, and we will address those, like Hayden Hurst being told he's catching the walk-in papers when the new year rolls around in 6 days, 7 days, whatever it is. So I thought, there's a lot of tag discussion we need to get to. Brian Burns catches the non-exclusive franchise tag for the Panthers last night. That, of course, means that Brian Burns has the ability to go out there and look for another deal with another team. And should he find another deal with another team, he would then have the opportunity to sign that deal. And the Carolina Panthers then have the option. Either A, they can match that deal, in which case Burns remains a Cat, or they have first right of refusal on that deal. They can go, we're not matching that deal. And in order for the deal to go through, the Panthers would receive 2 first-round picks from the team that signs Brian Burns. This is the best possible outcome of an otherwise, dare we say, uncomfortable situation. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But I thought, all right, we got men's college basketball with 2 games left remaining on the schedule. We got men's college basketball, and, there are a bunch of bubble teams. But the 2 teams we cover in our backyard are locked in, South Carolina and Clemson. And we all know Furman only gets locked in if they win the Southern Conference tournament. So we got to dial in. We got to focus for sure. But this is kind of an odd time to try to talk college basketball. I will. We'll do it coming up in a little while. But I also know it's not a flamethrower of a topic right now. I sat down last night with the tablet of truth to start putting together the show outline. And I thought tomorrow might be the first day of the off season that we kind of got a tough show to get through. And then about 7 minutes into show prep, I'm like, nope, it's going to be easy. It's going to be a fast, easy, smooth day because we've got a lot of stuff we need to get to. The Dartmouth basketball team has voted to unionize themselves.
Girl.
Bianca. Dartmouth's basketball team has voted to unionize itself. The university has decided to push back. On one hand, this has enormous implications in the world of college athletics. On the other hand, not as enormous as you might think up front, because there is something about Dartmouth that makes them different than a lot of the other schools that y'all care about, including the two in your backyard.
Wait. You're saying there's someone out there who cares about Dartmouth?
I mean, it's an Ivy League school. There's a bunch of rich guys who care about Dartmouth.
There are rich people around here.
You may not care about
They ain't up yet, but they're around here.
You may not care about Dartmouth, great one. You do care about the fact that a college basketball team just not only voted to unionize itself, but now has sought and received representation by one of the largest unionizing organizations in America. They went and got backup from a company that all they do is help to construct and organize unions. They are, as a matter of fact, the negotiating power behind some of the largest and most powerful labor unions across these great United States of America. And now they rep Dartmouth ball. Now, you may not care about Dartmouth ball. I do know what you do care about, which is the fact that a college athletic program has just become the first to vote to unionize. And we all know what that means. That means that there are a lot of other college programs right now that are watching Dartmouth over the next couple of months to see what happens, how it happens, and to figure out what the unknown and unintended ramifications and consequences of this decision and agreement are.
I want you to know, when you were talking about who they were backed by, you were doing this. I just want you to know that when you were talking about the union, you were doing this.
I'm just saying.
If you want to see what I'm doing, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, you can check it out and see what I'm doing.
The guys that are representing Dartmouth basketball, I'm not saying they know where Jimmy Hoff is. I'm just saying they might know where Jimmy Hoff is.
Because you never said the name of the union the entire time.
Don't worry, we're coming to that.
Okay,
we're coming to that.
All right.
This is me being a broadcasting professional and setting up a segment for later in the show.
And by the way, this is me helping the tease. That's
good at this.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
So we got to talk about that. Braves fans, I have wonderful news for you. You may all take a very large sigh of relief. Because on March 28th at 3:10 in the afternoon, the Bravos go first pitch. Opening day when they play the hated divisional rivals. That, of course, would be the Philadelphia Phillies.
You didn't say that. Tell me you did not just say that.
Nobody except James likes the Phillies. All right. Sorry, James. Love you, dog. But nobody but James likes the Phillies. All right. They learned they low down, they dirty, they some snitches. Nobody likes Philly. Here's the good news for the Atlanta Bravos. You found out yesterday that Ronald Acuna Jr. will be available on opening day. Now, you're not going to see him much through the remainder of spring ball. But the injury he suffered was examined yesterday by a very, very well-known, lauded, respected orthopedic doctor out in Los Angeles, California, who said that the injury suffered by one Ronald Acuna Jr. is irritation around the meniscus. It was not, as was initially feared, a tear of the meniscus, or worse, because it was in the same knee that Ronnie popped an ACL in a couple of years ago that caused him to miss a half of a season and then the next.
So he just has an owie.
It's more than an owie. It is an inflamed joint on a professional athlete. I don't think that your reigning, defending, undisputed National League most valuable player is gonna hit the bench because of an owie. That's more of a basketball thing, or at least I've been told. But Roddy will be available for the Bravos on opening day. We'll talk about that coming up later on the show. NCAA freezing name, image, and likeness investigations for the foreseeable future after they were handed another L in court, basically. We're going to talk about that. And then the topic that I already know, I already see how this plays out. I'm going to bring this up at 7:20 this morning. I'm going to bring this up during the money hour of the radio broadcast. And when I bring this up during the money hour of the radio broadcast, I am going to say at 7:20, I don't intend to spend the full entire hour on this topic. And then we're going to do that. And we're going to do that because it is big. Remember how we had the big discussion about going to the 12-team playoffs, and remember how we're doing that this year? At the conclusion of this year's collegiate football program, we will see 12 teams in a playoff bracket vying for a natty. And remember how, like, less than 48 hours after the 12-team bracket proposal was approved, we already heard that the College Football Playoff Board of Governors / managers / whatever else they are was looking at increasing the playoff bracket from 12 teams to 4 teams. And remember, to 14 teams. And remember how I said, even if they do this, don't get excited. ACC fans, don't get excited. Big 12 fans, don't get excited. Pac-12 fans, all 19 of you. Remember how I said, definitely don't get excited, group of 5 teams. Remember how I said, don't get excited, Notre Dame fans, because this isn't for you. This is for the big dogs and the big dogs alone. Well, now there's another report, and let's say rumor, for the sake of not being dramatic. There is another rumor that is circling right now, great one, that the 14-team playoff bracket would not just feature 3 automatic qualifiers going to the Big Ten, as I predicted, 3 automatic qualifiers going to the Southeastern Conference, as I predicted, but the prediction is also that every year, no matter the circumstances, the situation, the record, no matter nothing, the bye for the 1 seed and the 2 seed would always go to the SEC champion and the Big Ten champion. No ifs, ands, or buts. Even if they are both L's, and even if the ACC props out an undefeated champ, the Big 12 props up an undefeated champ, the group of 5 has an undefeated champ, Notre Dame is an undefeated team at the end of the year. No matter what happens, the automatic qualifier and the top 2 bids, 2 of which result in a first round bye, would go to the B1G and the SEC, no matter the circumstances. And this may shock you, but there's a lot of people who are real not cool with that.
Why? Why are they not cool with that? Did they not see that coming? The 2
seeing something coming doesn't mean I have to be cool with it. If I see a bus coming, I'm not going to go, well, at least I saw it coming.
Hey, when you're the best, you deserve a little bit more. And those are the 2 best conferences. Everybody else is in. Everybody else should just shut down their football program. Like, really, ACC. Clemson, shut your program down. Yeah, please.
Don't even play football.
Yeah,
okay,
please.
That's not the one
please do.
I regret that decision immediately.
Do that right now as we speak. Start packing everything up. Put the orange away forever. I'm okay with that. Listen, you're either with us or you're not. And if you're not with us, then you're
against
also,
this? Like
no. You're also Rands. You're insignificant. You're alsos. I mean, you're like, oh yeah, those guys exist too. I mean, we've talked many times about how it's just going to be 2 conferences. Let's go ahead and make it happen.
We are going to talk about that.
You don't matter. You don't.
In the next hour of the radio broadcast. So make sure you stick around for that. But when we come back here in just a moment from right now, your boy, me, I am your boy. is heated. Okay? I am heated because of a report that I saw drop yesterday afternoon. And it is a report that has allowed me to walk, not tiptoe, not run, but to walk head up, shoulders back, squarely into I freaking told you so territory. And as much as some of you are going to hate it, you will listen to every damn word I have to say about it. Because I am furious and correct. I'll tell you what I'm talking about when we come back. I'm Rob Brown, the great Malonzo on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. Ladies and gentlemen, happy Wednesday. It's the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys, quick live read. I'm coming right back. Good morning, everybody. Stay right there. Hootie's character review came out. We were on the break, and I'm sorry I just brought you back. Hootie and the Blowfish.
Especially the Robbots being back.
The Robbots are back.
Yeah.
Hootie and the Blowfish, Edwin McCain, and Collective Soul are playing a show together here in Greenville. And those are 3 bands/artists that I adore, all of them. And the day that those 3 elected to play a show together in South Carolina is literally the day that I'm getting married, which means that yet another time that I don't get to see Hootie and the Blowfish, a band that I have loved since 1994 when Cracked Rear View dropped. And I am, and I mean it, devastated by that.
I wouldn't mind seeing Collective Soul. I mean,
See, I would watch half of a Hootie. I love Collective Soul. I'd watch half of a Hootie concert before I saw 2 Collective Soul shows.
I mean,
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. I saw a report that dropped yesterday, and I'm not going to lie, it kept me awake for like a solid hour after bedtime last night. That report dropped on Awful Announcing with a couple of citations to other sites. The report is based around Iowa Hawkeyes women's basketball star, Caitlin Clark. Now, you don't have to particularly like or care about Caitlin Clark. This isn't directly about Caitlin Clark, though she is the trigger of this story. Caitlin Clark.
Oh, so she didn't do anything wrong or anything? Because
Nope.
you built it up like, I mean, as soon as you said the team name, it's like, her points are tainted somehow.
Nope. Has nothing to do with Caitlin Clark other than she's the trigger for the story. Caitlin Clark, you will remember, earlier this week, announced that she, after the conclusion of this, her natural senior season, will be headed to the WNBA. The Indiana Fever have the number 1 overall pick. Caitlin Clark will be the number 1 overall pick. She will be a member of the Fever next year. Here is what blew my mind. There is a claim going around right now based around an NIL offer that never got made but was being discussed. We had a conversation on this show about whether or not Caitlin Clark might stay at Iowa because Caitlin Clark could theoretically have made more money via NIL at Iowa than she could have in the WNBA. The highest WNBA contracts sit just a tick shy of $500,000. We are watching athletes like Olivia Dunn at LSU, like Angel Reese at LSU, make $1 million plus every year in NIL. Now, there are 2 reasons Caitlin Clark's going to the show. The first is that the NIL money, a lot of those endorsements, she can still do them in the WNBA. In fact, probably easier than she can at college. Number 2, how often do you get a chance, if you are a star athlete, to be drafted by and therefore spend your entire career, should she elect to do so, playing for the team you grew up a fan of? You combine those 2 things, you got a pretty good reason for Caitlin Clark to go ahead and take her talents to the WNBA. But that isn't the story here. The story here is that apparently, there were discussions going on primarily at Fox to make an NIL deal to Caitlin Clark. An NIL deal that would possibly dwarf what she would be able to make even if she took all her other NIL deals to the WNBA. And why did Fox want to make a landmark NIL deal to keep Caitlin Clark at Iowa? Well, some of you, the more astute members of the Rob Brown Show Armada, you may recognize that Fox holds the broadcast rights for the Big Ten, the conference
No,
in which the
no,
Iowa
no,
Hawkeyes play.
No, come on. Come on. Are you serious?
In Caitlin Clark's final regular season game against the Ohio State University, just a few thousand shy of 4 million people tuned in. You will keep in mind that game was on a Saturday afternoon. 4 million people, just a touch shy, tuned in to watch Caitlin Clark break Pistol Pete Maravich's scoring record.
I think it was Sunday.
Sunday, that's right. Sunday afternoon.
Because I was tuned in.
Which makes it worse, by the way. 4 million people tuned in to watch her break Pistol Pete's record. Now, she's not going to draw 4 million a game, but she is the biggest eyeball getter in all of women's sports right now. I've been saying Caitlin Clark is the biggest star in college basketball today, and I'm going to stand on that. A lot of great players out there right now, but Caitlin Clark is the most recognizable face in women's college basketball. But here's the thing. Caitlin Clark, to me right now, and some of you are welcome to throw some other submissions, nominations into the pot. Caitlin Clark is the biggest face of women's sports, period, right now. And so Fox, apparently, according to this report, was considering putting together an NIL deal that would have dwarfed everything else that she was able to make, whether it was in college or in the WNBA, to keep her in college. Why? So that Fox could keep showing Caitlin Clark college games. Because once she goes to the NBA, they lose the hottest commodity in women's sports right now today. So I want to take you back. I want to take you back to the end of the college football season. I want to take you back to the end of the college football season when the 13-0 ACC champions, our Florida State Seminoles, were left out of the college football playoffs. And I want to take you back to a point in time where I said on this very microphone,
Stop it,
on this very radio station, that I genuinely believe that, I won't name any network specifically, but the network that maybe had the broadcast rights to the college football playoff may, possibly, theoretically, but definitely did, pull some strings and write out the narrative to, for the first time in the history of the college football playoffs, leave out an undefeated Power 5 conference champion. And I said at the time, there is no reason to believe, in my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion, there is no reason to believe that television networks who have not just financial interest in college athletics, but have massive financial interest in college athletics, would not be willing to throw around their weight to script the game. Here's what I mean by that. My fiance is a big fan of reality television. She's into all sorts of reality TV shows. 1,000-Pound Sisters, Sister Wife. I think she's
not her
shows.
too. Oh man, I just walk in. Why are you watching that? Why?
She is into reality shows, specifically those about sisters, apparently. She's into it. And I don't judge what she or anybody else wants to watch.
Not even a little.
Not even a little.
Oh, come on.
I watch
just a
12
little.
hours of professional wrestling a week. I am in no position to judge anybody else's television taste.
And it's just as scripted as all those sister shows.
Professional wrestling is cool.
So, I'm in no position to judge. I don't care.
Diarrhea.
Watch what you want to watch and enjoy what you want to watch. But I hit her about the reality shows with the thing that Lonzo and me and every other wrestling fan have heard without fail since we were cheering. That is, Rob, you know it's fake, right? Yes. Yes, I do. And yet I am still entertained. Reality TV is scripted. Why is reality TV scripted? Because people watch television for what? for drama. Drama attracts eyeballs. Drama attracts eyeballs, which attracts large audiences. Large audiences attract advertisers, which bring with them big time money. So if you are, let's say, a made-up network, I'm not going to name any, but let's say you started a network that, I don't know, had 4 letters in its name. And one of them was S, that standed for sports, because you are a network that focuses on sports. And let's say that you paid, I don't know, theoretically like $1.5 billion to own the rights to the college football playoff. You would, reasonably so, want to do what you could do to create the most drama, A, and B, get as many eyeballs on that product as you can, because now you need those advertising dollars to offset the $1.5 billion plus that you spend on the playoffs. And I said on this microphone, on this radio station, yes, I do believe that the network in charge of the college football playoffs did indeed throw around their weight to get the playoff matchup that they wanted. And I got told, Rob, you absolute lunatic, you madman, there's no way that would happen. The networks would not get directly invested. They would not come out of their own pocket. They would not eat up their own time in order to spin a sports narrative that they wanted. Well, my dudes, my dudettes, my people, here you go. Here you go. Here's a broadcast outlet that was about to throw huge dollar bills around at one athlete, one athlete, in order to generate a better television product. Yes, women's college basketball right now is on a mountaintop, and in large part because of Caitlin Clark. And there's obviously other players in the game. Dawn Staley, Coach of the Year in the SEC. People are tuning in to watch her. Angel Reese, Bayou Barbie. People are tuning in to watch her. Haley Van Lith down in Baton Rouge with Angel. The Cavender twins. There are a lot of celebrities in the world of women's college ball that have eyeballs on them, but nothing compared to what Caitlin Clark is doing. And now you have a report that a broadcast outlet was about to throw fat stacks at one player so that they could utilize that money to create a television product that is better for them. Now, for the record, hell yeah, good on Caitlin Clark for using her basketball talent to get the bag. Good on her. Good on her. The point here that I am making is this. I told you all 3 months ago, the biggest fear, honestly, maybe the only fear I have about the NIL era, is that the TV networks being A, invested in the product, and B, invested in the entities that make the product. That's a direct conflict of interest, because a network now has a financial interest in pumping up certain players, schools, and conferences in order to make the product that they televise better so that more money comes in, and the vicious circle continues. And I got told that I was a conspiracy theorist. I had the tinfoil cap on. Rob, no way would that ever happen. Here it is. It didn't happen because Caitlin Clark knows that she's still going to get paid big bucks at the WNBA, and she gets to play for her childhood team. But here's a report that a TV network was about to throw a ton of money at one player that plays inside of a product that they promote, that they televise, so that they could get more viewers and make more money. Do not ever tell me again that I was wrong. Do not ever tell me again that, no, you crazy person, you lunatic Rob Brown. Of course the TV networks wouldn't do. Yeah, they would. They freaking try.
So where's the bomb? We're waiting for the bomb where you drop the bomb and say, this is what they did to Florida State. And you got proof, right? you're going to show the money behind Florida State not making it.
Look, you're never going to get that.
Well, you just got that for Caitlin Clark, and you're using that in your defense as to what you believe happened there. You're Mr. Show me some proof guy.
There is.
Who did it, why they did it, when they did it, where they did it. You said that many times on the air. I want to hear some of that.
there is a dramatic difference, I acknowledge, between Fox coming at Caitlin Clark with an X million, and yes, it would be millions, it would be millions, and X millions of dollars NIL deal to keep her in college basketball,
it's not unusual for it to be millions. We've proven that
other
people are
from
making
a TV network.
Oh, I agree.
It's not.
I agree.
It's not for Olivia Dunn getting $1 billion to be on my TV advertising yoga pants every day.
I don't know who that is, but you are pointing to the TV aggressively.
I'll point her when she comes on. She will be on this TV in the next 30 minutes. And I will point her out.
All right.
It's not unusual. This is the first that we know of a TV network going into an athlete's pocket of a team that they own the broadcast rights to, and therefore they own the rights to broadcast Caitlin Clark.
How do we know this? How do we know this? What are the sources that say that this happened? Or we're going to happen?
Is on this list. Let's see, where else? This was about 3 different sources that came out of Awful announcing.
So they were able to find this out about Caitlin Clark. So if this happened against Florida State, I'm sure these same sources would have found something.
Let me tell you what happened to Florida State that did not happen for Caitlin Clark. With Caitlin Clark, it was cash money on the table. Okay, here's the dollar amount we're willing to offer.
So Florida State's quarterback getting hurt, and the fact that the team was not the same team.
Let me put it on the table, and then you can try to kick the legs out from under me. With Caitlin Clark, they went dollar bills, y'all. That's not what happened with ESPN. What ESPN did was trot out Kirk Herbstreit for weeks. And by the way, Herbstreit was kicking the legs out of FSU before Jordan Travis got hurt. And Jordan Travis was the trigger. It was very convenient for ESPN because the week before that, Kirk Herbstreit was on game day going, I just don't know. I just don't feel that way about the Noles. Like, Georgia, Alabama, the winner, that should be in over Florida State before that. And then the next week after Jordan Travis's leg got snapped, then all of a sudden it was, without Jordan Travis, that's not what you said last week. What you said last week was they're just not good enough. Unlike all the other teams that have been 13-0 in conference champions that you let try, including Cincinnati. So the difference is with Fox, yes, I got a number. It was this. This is what they wanted to put on the table. It wasn't about direct financial investment for ESPN. It was about using their broadcast power, which is enormous, to craft a narrative for weeks and weeks that then began to sift into the daily college football conversation enough to poison the well, no matter what happened to Jordan Travis. That's the difference. Fox, there's proof. ESPN, it's kind of insidious, but there's no it's the magic bullet. Does it make me a conspiracy theorist? You're damn right it does. I've said that since January. It makes me a conspiracy theorist because I'll never be able to prove it. Unless somebody comes forward one day with an email, which would be the funniest damn thing that's ever happened on planet Earth. But ESPN ain't dumb. Those things are wiped, bro. All right, let's take a break. I gotta go fix my tinfoil cap. Got a little loose. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate.
Clemson beat Syracuse 90-75. 25 points for PJ Hall. Georgia Tech nipped Wake Forest 70.
Yeah, why wouldn't we be?
It's segment by segment, Wesley. That's not true. That's a joke, by the way. I keep forgetting my camera's over here now. So you guys have spent more time looking at the left side of my face.
So this is all about profile for you. You feel like one side of your face has got enough, and now it's time to.
No, because I got the bald spot in the beard.
Yeah,
right
it's definitely there.
I think it's on this side too, but I can't look at the camera.
It looks
it's
like
not as bad on this side.
Looks like maybe a mini goiter going on in there.
What's a goiter? Is that that's an old person thing? Isn't it?
Oh no! Oh no! You
The
don't.
goiter is used to describe any enlarged thyroid gland.
Look at pictures
It's this thing. I've seen that before.
where it gets all
Yeah.
like
Nope. X. Oh. No, this is the result of my Joe Dirt genetics. I can't tell you how many times I've considered taking the razor here and just going with the Burns and goatee.
No, you should go with the Lexus King look. I think that would work for you. It'll take a lot of work.
Can't pull it off. I don't have good enough facial hair for that.
Well, I mean,
It's not solid enough.
Different angles, you can make that work.
I've thought about going with the Iron Man, the Robert Downey Jr. With the disconnected goatee.
Why not? I mean, experiment. It'll grow back.
I shaved last year. Last year, I took a trimmer to it. And as I did the first stripe, the guard popped off. And so I caught it like on the chin with just the blade. And fortunately, I didn't go all the way to the skin where I would have had to shave clean, but it went real close. So I had to take it all the way down and just stubble. And I walked out of the bathroom, and my loving, adoring fiance looked and went, no. And I went, it's not unfair.
I think you should go straight up Triple H, Lemmy. Just go with the lamb chop thingy. I mean, or whatever that.
No, I gotta keep my 3 chins covered. Honestly, I would go clean shaven if I didn't have such a fat freaking neck.
The Will Wheaton comparisons would really show up if
he
he shaved. That's why he's not doing it.
Yes, they absolutely would.
Ooh, racing stripes. That's a good. I mean, that also, Wesley, that takes some work. I mean, you got to get in there with the razor and do it just right. Yeah, it's not.
You want to see what a rocket looks like? It's from last night. Look at that. Oh, what in the world? That's my fiance.
Perfect timing.
Try that again without touching the screen. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but watch the ball jump off the club head. Pow!
Yeah, I actually saw it.
Absolute missiles coming off the driver last night.
If you had a more quality phone, it might look better. But
this is Google Pixel 7. It is.
Yeah, I know.
The only thing better than the Google Pixel 7
is anything.
Google Pixel 8, which of course. The Google Pixel 8 drops, and wouldn't you know it, Lonzo, all of a sudden, my screen is flickering, my battery life's down to 5.
Speaking of conspiracy, although I subscribe to that conspiracy, I do think that's
100%. Planned obsolescence is a real thing.
Wow, that's a big word.
So the conspiracy theorist tinfoil cap is on real tight this morning for one Rob Brown. Fox Sports allegedly was prepared, according to reports, to make an NIL offer to Caitlin Clark to get her to stay one more year in college. Of course, Fox Sports owns the rights to Big Ten athletics, which means that they own the rights to class. That's right, Caitlin Clark's games. I have now also told you this, to me, at least lends more credibility to the fact that, yes, television networks that are directly invested in teams and players in conferences have financial interests to protect, which means they will be willing to help craft the narrative and the product itself within college athletics. I think this is pretty much putting it out there that, yeah, that's the case in 2024, my dudes. And if it can happen at the highest level of women's college sports, you think there's not a reason why it would happen in men's college sports? And that led me to another conspiracy theory that I would like to bring to all of your attention right now. That conspiracy theory, of course, is this great one. I'm a Google Pixel guy on the phone, all right? in part because there's not much more. There's not much at all that brings happiness and joy into my cold, dark, icy heart. Quite like iPhone users complaining that my chat bubbles are blue on their phone.
You forgot small heart. It's
small, dark, icy heart.
Yeah, you got to remember that part.
There's not much that makes me happier than when my fam or my friends text me and go, Rob, can you please get an iPhone? Your bubbles are blue. Hell no.
I
can't. I won't.
I've had people come and complain to me about it when I changed networks about
Couldn't care less.
and I'm like, what's that matter?
Couldn't care less.
But it's just a color. What's it matter? I don't get the, and I do have an iPhone, but I don't get the, who cares about what color the bubble is?
Couldn't care less. A lot of people do. Now, as a Android phone elitist, and I do have one issue. Not terribly long ago did I switch over to the Google Pixel 7. About a year ago, actually, I moved over. I've got, I don't know, probably 2 more payments on because we elected to do the pay by the month plan.
I think that's what most people do. I mean, you usually don't have like $1,000 or whatever it is to buy a new phone.
It just adds, it splits it up into 12 or 24 payments, adds onto your cell phone plan, whatever. That's fine. I do that, and I got the 7. And at the time, the 7 was relatively new. Well, not terribly long ago, Google introduced the Google Pixel 8. Do I want the Pixel 8? Yeah, of course I do. Everybody wants the newest, biggest, greatest. Here's the thing. I was very happy because in like 2 more payments, my cell phone is paid off, which means my payment's going to go down however many dozens of dollars a month, and I'm going to save a little money. And I thought, all right, much like I do with the Madden video games, I'll skip a year, right? I'm going to skip the 8, and I'll do a year of a phone being paid for, and I'll go to 9. But wouldn't you know it? Days after the Google Pixel 8 becomes available, now all of a sudden, look at this. Lonzo, would you look at that? I got some dead pixels up here in the corner of my screen. All right. Now, all of a sudden, when I start up and kill off my phone, it gets these weird color flashes. Now, all of a sudden, my processing speed is down. Now, all of a sudden, when I connect to the internet, it takes 13 seconds to load up a web page, not 0.13 seconds. All of the sudden, a bunch of the stuff on my phone is starting. Oh, look, if I lower the brightness down to a certain spot, now the phone screen flickers anytime I do anything, which means, of course, when does it flicker and go out the most? At night, when you're laying in bed and you want the phone to be working. Now, all of a sudden at night, can't go with the dark screen, so I either got to look and stare into a floodlight of a phone screen at 12 a.m. or not use my phone at night. And obviously, that's not an option. Planned obsolescence is without a doubt, great one, the conspiracy theory that I entirely believe is true.
I'm going to go out on a limb here as someone who has observed you for many years and say maybe you've dropped the phone a little too hard a few times.
You will notice.
You sit it down awful hard, dude.
You'll
I'm
notice
just saying.
I'm a pen spinner now. I don't spin the phone like I used to, right? Because I paid a lot of money for this one.
Well, you
I'm a pen spinner now.
sit it down pretty hard.
I've replaced the tip on my tablet of True Stylus about 30 times because I will bend the tip before I spin my phone. All right? I am simply saying I fully, entirely, 100%, without question or doubt, believe that they are doing a wonderful job sending a signal from outer space into our phones that says, hey, Rob's Pixel, the new Pixel went for sale yesterday, so why don't you start shutting down one circuit at a time, and let's see how long it takes for him to go, what's another grand to the cell phone magnets? That is the single conspiracy theory that I wholeheartedly believe.
Welcome to Rob Brown After Dark. No, not that kind of show. We're talking aliens and signals that make your phone no longer function.
Sports Flash. That was creepy. I don't know why I did it like that. Sorry.
Yeah, it was the eyeball thing. That was the creepy part. Clemson picked up a 90-75 win over Syracuse in its final home game of the regular season last night. The Tigers were led by PJ Hall's 25 points on 11 of 19 shooting, as the Clemson offense shot over 56% from the floor and 42% from deep. It was expected, and now it's official. The Carolina Panthers placed a non-exclusive franchise tag on Brian Burns yesterday. The tag means if Burns doesn't sign a new deal, he'll play on a one-year, $24 million deal next season. The designation also means Burns can seek a new deal elsewhere, with the Panthers having first right of refusal and receiving 2 first-round picks if they reject it. Tune in Saturday night at 8 p.m. as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Western Carolina in the first round of the Southern Conference Tournament, right here on your home for Paladins football and basketball. It's us. It's right here. It's the station you listen to. It's the Fan, Upstate. By the way, Jacob, we're not ignoring you. We talk about Gamecocks all the time, dude. It's not, I mean, you know.
On the block with the perfect lawn. Don't you envy them? That's just jealousy getting to you. Be the house on the block that they envy. Just get to CarolinaTopDressing.com and sign up for your free quote. Since 2007, Carolina Top Dressing has been transforming, smoothing, and nourishing lawns around upstate South Carolina. We are passionate about giving you the healthiest yard on the block, residential or commercial, with top dressing, aerating, and overseeding services. Trust Carolina Top Dressing with your cover feel.
Bots in overdrive. We got the 86 there for a second.
Welcome in, Rooks. Noobs. Good to have y'all.
I get it, Jacob, but you can't talk about, well, you can. There's some shows that will just talk about one thing for an entire 3 to 4 hours.
Not us.
And what more can you say about the best team in all of women's basketball? They're the best. Okay, let's move on to something else. Undefeated, Dawn Staley on her way to possibly being the greatest college basketball coach of all time. I mean,
she's only halfway to the top.
I said on her way.
And you get unlimited 5G data, $25 a line for 4 lines on the unlimited plan, at an amazing price with no contracts. Should you switch to Total by Verizon? Definitely. Find a store or switch Suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Monthly rate when you activate without a pay, plus taxes and fees. Discount begins the month after you enroll. Additional terms apply. See website for data management practices.
Get the one and done you want for your dog's monthly protection. NexGuard Plus, a Foxalon or Moxidectin and Pyrantel chewable tablets. Protects against.
What'd she say?
I don't know what any of those words were, to be honest with you.
What?
What?
Use with caution in dogs with a history of seizures or neurologic disorders. Dogs should be tested for existing heartworm infection prior to starting.
Memo win the SEC tonight over Tennessee. I'll tell you what, Lamont winning the SEC would be incredible. You need more?
If you really want to go into the subject.
Again, Jacob, and I'm not, dude, just what more can you say? I mean, you could talk more about the men's basketball team, but the women's, we expected that. And if you didn't expect that, you're a hater. How out of breath is he going to be? Time to cue up the kid.
Nailed it.
Good morning.
Here we go. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's spectacular, as always, to be with you. My name is Rob Brown, the great Lonzo on the ones and twos this AM. Having the time of our lives. And we owe it all to you. We got a lot of stuff we still need to get to. We have talked so far this AM, a little conspiracy theories, dun dun, in the world of sports. Didn't even get the conspiracy theory theme from Lonzo.
It's because you were being way too serious.
I was being very serious.
Yeah, and I just
am very
didn't.
serious about
yeah,
that.
it was just. I mean, let's say angry, and I thought the conspiracy thing would the theme would bring it down. So I made an executive decision and decided not to play it for that reason.
I respect that. That was entirely and totally truthful. I am very serious about it. Very serious about it. I mean it. Like, I am bothered by that.
Many people want to know why so serious.
I stay serious. I live serious, man. It's just what I do. So we'll get back into that later on in the radio broadcast. We have got to get to your water cooler cheat sheet here in just seconds from right now. We have got to get into a little Atlanta Braves baseball. Turns out Ronnie will be available for Atlanta on opening day. Huzzah! That's wonderful news. You would hate to start the season without your 2023 National League most valuable player. We'll talk some baseball coming up here in a little while. We will get into some NBA. How about the Denver Nuggets? The Nuggets last night got beat by the Phoenix Suns in their own house. Are the Nuggets worth fading right now if you are an NBA money maker?
Cleveland Cavaliers going to win the whole thing.
Cleveland got the better of Beantown last night. The Boston Celtics are the best team in the NBA. And last night, Cleveland at 40-21 got them. You know why, though? The Kelsey Magic was in the house last night.
Both of them boys was there.
Yeah.
And they played a video package.
Taylor's boyfriend and Jason were there last night. It was good, man. It was good. It was fun to watch. The dope bobbleheads, by the way. Like, as bobbleheads.
I didn't see the bobbleheads. I have to look that up.
One of the best. I'm a bobblehead guy. There's probably 7 or 8 of them on the desk over there in the Fortress of Nerditude. I probably got 20, 25 of them scattered in various places around the Bro Cave back at the Casa de Love. Big bobblehead guy. As a matter of fact, last year, I go to like 2, 3, 4, or 5 Braves games a year. 2 hours from here, might as well. Planned last year around Ronald Acuna Jr. bobblehead day. And whatever bobbleheads they announce this year, I'll play my Braves trip around that too. Big bobblehead guy. The Kelsey Bro bobblehead was an elite bobblehead last night.
Yeah, the only bobblehead I have is an actual size Grogu bobblehead, but
the sports bobbleheads are where it's at.
Yeah, there's some right over there in the window seat.
Yeah, we got who we got? We got Dick Vitale, baby. We got the big unit Randy Johnson. We got Slammin' Sammy Sosa. And I think that's Rafael Palmeiro. I don't know why the hell we have a Rafael Palmeiro bobblehead, but I think that's Rafael Palmeiro.
It's because some guy who used to work here found them all in a box. And that's why we have them.
Right.
Okay, way to go.
It's Rafael Palmeiro.
So you're saying it's accurate in its depiction, so much so that you were able to look at it and know who it was.
Rafi Palmeiro, you will remember, for whatever reason, it wasn't McGuire or Sosa or Bonds that brought
the denial
PED stuff to the table. It was Rafael Palmeiro that brought the PED stuff to the table. And
Isn't he the one who denied it in Congress? And
yes.
And then
And then
found
his
out.
name ended up on the list of people who definitely did PEDs. Yes, that's the guy. And yet we have hey, whatever. Big bobblehead guy. I got a Stomper bobblehead in there from the Swamp Rabbits. I've got who else do I have in there? Our guy Dallas J, former goalkeeper for the Greenville Triumph, got a Dallas J bobblehead in there. I got some good bobbleheads in there, man. Good local bobbleheads.
Do you, when no one's looking, just make them all bobble?
Every now and then.
I mean, you got to.
Every now.
Well, you just want to make sure they still work.
I got a Bob Ross bobblehead in there. Bob Ross, he of the greatest television show of all time fame.
Happy Little Trees.
Happy Little Trees.
You got that.
No
I've got
there are only happy little accidents.
I have a Bob Ross poster to my right, and you'll notice every once in a while when I'm having a bad day,
just gotta reach over.
Just look over and
thank you, Bob.
And that reassuring fro just makes me feel better about myself.
Thank you, Bob.
Trey in the stream says he's got an Alice Cooper bobblehead.
Like that. I love that.
Does it bleed or anything? I mean, I'm just curious.
Big bobblehead, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:00. Wait for it. Hang on. It is 7:07 in the morning, which means you are now 53 minutes away from having to clock in. If you've got one of those regular 8 to 5ers, and of course, if you are in the Eastern time zone, as we are ticking our way towards one of our higher stream viewership counts of all time, many of you, I assume, are in time zones spread out across the world. That's all good with us. The point here is you are some number of hours away from clocking in at work if you have the 8 to 5er. And when you get to work, right after you clock in, you're going to be thinking to yourself, my goodness gracious, I could use a break right now. And then you're going to take that break. Go ahead and do it early. Don't worry, I give you permission. And you're going to talk sports around the water cooler with your coworkers. And if you're going to talk sports around the water cooler with your coworkers, you, my dearest of friends, are going to need this.
What did you do, Ray?
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you go start talking sports with your coworkers around that water cooler. Let us dive right in, ladies and gentlemen, with item numero uno. The NFL franchise tag deadline hath come. It hath gone. 9 tags handed out by NFL teams leading up to yesterday's 4 p.m. deadline. So who got tagged? T. Higgins, wide receiver from the Bengals. We knew he was going to get tagged a few days ago. L'Jarius Sneed of the Chiefs. They said 2 days ago, they were going to tag him. Justin Matabuke, defensive tackle from the Baltimore Ravens. He has been tagged. Antoine Winfield Jr., a safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Josh Allen, no, not that one, the other one. The Jacksonville Jaguars edge rusher has been tagged. Defensive back for the Chicago Bears, Jalen Johnson. And unfortunately for the Carolina Panthers, because it takes one of my wish list free agents off the table, Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. All of them join Brian Burns of the Carolina Panthers on the tag list. Kyle Duggar of the Patriots received a transition tag. Here's the 2 things that you will see: exclusive tags and non-exclusive tags. Exclusive tags mean the contract must be no less than either the average of the top 5 salaries at that player's position or 100%, 120% of the player's salary the previous season, whichever is greater. It also means, and this is the highlight, it also means the player is not allowed to negotiate with other teams and may not sign with another team should they reject the offer. Non-exclusive tags, and that is what was applied to Brian Burns. A non-exclusive tag means the contract must be no less than either the average of the top 5 cap hits at that player's position, or 120% of the player's salary the previous season, whichever is greater. However, unlike the exclusive tag, the non-exclusive tag allows the player to negotiate with other teams. And if that player receives an offer from another team, his current team has the opportunity to either match that offer or to reject that offer. If a team elects to reject that offer, they are entitled to receive draft compensation equivalent to 2 first-round draft picks from the team that signs the player. At linebacker, which is the position that Brian Burns is technically slotted at for this team, the non-exclusive tag this year comes with a 1-season price payout of $24.007 million. So Brian Burns playing on a 1-year, $24 million contract, but it was a non-exclusive franchise tag, meaning that Brian Burns can go out and negotiate with other teams. Brian Burns and his agent, Todd France, can be on the phone with 31 other NFL teams and accept up to 31 other NFL teams' offers. And should Brian Burns agree to any of those offers, the Carolina Panthers have first right of refusal, meaning they can go, we're actually good with that contract, we're going to sign it, or that little rich for our blood, we are not going to sign you to that contract. And whoever does sign him in that case would send 2 first-round picks over to the Carolina Panthers. This is, in my ever so humble opinion, great one, the best way this situation could play out for Carolina. You weren't giving Brian Burns $30 million a year for an unknown amount of time after he wanted 27 and then regressed on the flip side. To exclusive tag him and pay him 24 pretty much guarantees you he's gone next year and you get no compensation back. At least with this, you might see some other teams that call up Brian Burns and go, tell you what, we will give you that $30 million if you'll sign for 5 years. And Carolina gets a couple of first rounders out of the deal. This had to be done this way.
We're going to find out if his drop-off is what people consider a drop-off last year in production, if it hurts his chances to go somewhere else.
We are going to talk a little bit about the Brian Burns tag coming up later on in the show. Let us go to item numero dos. Last night in ACC basketball, it was senior night at Little John Coliseum when the Clemson Tigers welcomed in the Syracuse Orange. They also showed the Syracuse Orange the door with a 90-75 rout of the Orange. They outscored it by 12 in the first half and 3 in the second half to add up to the 15-point dub. 25 points for PJ Hall. He was 11 of 19 from the floor last night, had 7 boards as well. I don't even want to say unsung hero last night because he was sung very frequently, and Shiflin. 16 points, 16 rebounds last night. Dude was the definition of the hustle monster yesterday evening. Had 16 boards, 3 assists, and 2 steals with his 16 points. 21 points for Joe Girard III. He went 4 of 7 from behind the arc, 5 of 8 from the field overall. 4 of his 5 field goals, all from outside the arc. Now, the one spot that you got to question, John Blau with the Post and Courier joins us every Monday to talk Clemson athletics, and he brought this up. You got to be concerned about bench depth right now. A total of 4 points off the bench for the Clemson Tigers. Across the starting 5, 25, 21, 17, 16, 7 was the point totals there. You had 2 from Godfrey, 2 from Wiggins off the bench. Nobody else logged a point coming off the pine. That's fine. Playing a Syracuse team. By the way, not a bad Syracuse team. Syracuse came into that game 20-10. That's not a bad Orange team. So to get a 15-point win at the house and improve to 21-9 is very impressive to me. All I'm saying is those of you yesterday who started texting the show and saying, Rob, it's time to start the annual Brownell'ing. Maybe calm down. Maybe you need to calm down.
Nah, they'll take care of it in the ACC tournament when they bow out in the first round.
We will find out. Of course, the bracket yet to be set as we still have one more round of contest to go before we get to the ACC tournament, which takes place next week. Of course, the women's tournaments will begin coming up this weekend. The SEC tournament right here in beautiful Greenville, South Carolina, with Dawn Staley and her Gamecocks opening their version on Friday. We also have coming up this evening a couple of huge men's games tonight, including a matchup that will go a very long way in determining what the SEC bracket looks like as number 4 Tennessee visits number 17 South Carolina. Remember, the Gamecocks went to Knoxville and got a huge dub over the Big Orange T a few weeks back. If they can sweep this season's series against Tennessee, I think there's already a lot of people who are looking at the Gamecocks and saying, what a pleasant surprise these fellas are. If they sweep Tennessee tonight, now they are a tournament threat. So the Clemson men get the big dub over the Orange last night. The Gamecock men, one way or the other, will be on tomorrow's edition of the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet. Let us get to item number 3. This story has been kind of circling for a handful of days, but I feel like it is probably not getting the attention that it deserves. Now, it is no secret to those of you that listen to the show that Rob Brown is a pro NIL dude. I know. I am pro NIL. The NCAA has been brought to court by a number of high-ranking government authorities from different states, including the attorneys general of Virginia and Tennessee. Well, they lost a case against the attorneys general of Virginia and Tennessee, did the NCAA. That case or hearing or brief or whatever it's called in the land of you legal people basically had a federal judge tell the NCAA, you cannot, right now, we'll circle back around because there's an actual court hearing to be heard coming up. But right now, you can't enforce NIL guidelines. Well, NCAA President Charlie Baker said the Division I Board of Directors directed NCAA enforcement staff to, and I quote from the memo, pause and not begin investigations involving third-party participation in NIL-related activities. That move comes just over a week after a federal judge granted a preliminary injunction in a lawsuit brought by those aforementioned attorneys general just a few moments ago. The antitrust suit challenges NCAA rules against recruiting inducements, saying they inhibit athletes' ability to cash in on their celebrity and fame. Baker wrote, quote, there will be no penalty for conduct that occurs consistent with the injunction while the injunction is in place. I agree with this decision. While the progress toward long-term solutions is underway, and while we await discussions with the attorneys general, in circumstances that are less than ideal, this at least gives the membership notice of the board's direction related to enforcement. So this does not come as a surprise, but I think Charlie Baker being so blasé about it does shock a few people. Also, Luka Doncic scored 35 and another triple-double last night, and the Mavericks still lost. I'm so tired of Dallas. I really am. I want to like Dallas. That's not true. I want to like Luka. I do like Luka. I can't get behind a team that has got this stud putting down 35-point triple doubles and losing more than they don't. What are we doing, Mavs?
Isn't that kind of what Dallas has done historically?
What are we doing?
I mean, yes. Doesn't mean I have to like it.
How many titles have they had? One?
Yeah, I think I was negative 18 years old when that happened. I don't know. Point is, please, I'm begging you, NBA, build around Luka. All right. That's your water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 stories you need to know before you get into the office. I didn't mean to click it, Nick. I need you to calm down. All right? Need you to relax, Nicholas Lou Saban. Calm it, man.
Let's go. We're going to go.
That's your water cooler cheat sheet. Top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office. Let's run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, there are groups of fans that I cannot stand. Looking at you, Dallas Cowboys. And then there are groups of fans that I have a certain affinity for, a certain affection towards. And 2 of them are putting up with a lot of from their teams right now. And I would like to, as the white knight that I am, rush to their defense, and I will do it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys, one quick live read, and we're coming right back. Please stay right there. We're back. Thanks for hanging in there, man. Morning, Skrilla. Hump day indeed. Triumph Soccer begins this Saturday. Unfortunately, the weather calls for rain and lightning on Saturday, which means either A, we get another legendary rain game. I love soccer rain games. They are the best. Or B, we got to move the game, which, no, please don't get to opening match day and then get rained out. I'm begging you. Don't take this away from me. Please don't take this away from me. I have been waiting for the beginning of soccer season for months. Good morning to the 66 people watching on Twitter this morning. Spike in the viewership. I love it. Those of y'all that are new, welcome. Please come back. We do this every day from 6 to 10 Eastern.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early, so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts, so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey everybody, I'm Mark Shanowski, along with one of the NBA's most popular analysts, Stacey King. We're inviting you to join us on the Give Me the Hot Sauce podcast.
So join us.
Give me the hot sauce.
Hot Sauce Studios, where we'll be talking about basketball, football, MMA, entertainment, and unique viewpoints from a group of sports experts having a few brews. That's right. Listen up on the Odyssey app or wherever you.
Also, hot sauce is not actually hot sauce.
Olivia Dunn. Told you.
I still don't know who she is.
She is a gymnast at LSU. She is the #1 NIL owner in America right now.
Oh, okay.
She is making millions of dollars a year.
Okay.
Early birds get the sports scoop. The Ron Brown Show, now morning 6 to
10. We got the 12-team playoff, and within 48 hours, the College Football Playoff Committee was looking expanding to 14 teams in the playoffs. I don't have any issue with that. Not at all. In fact, to some degree, I was even willing to be convinced about having a 14-team playoff with an extra AQ spot going to the Big Ten and the SEC. Not because of quality, but because of quantity and quality of football within those conferences, especially with the demise of the Pac-12. I was willing to hear the argument. I was not necessarily pushing the yes button. I was just willing to hear you out. But now there is another discussion going on revolving around the potential expansion of the college football playoff format. Ross Dellinger has reported that a proposed new model has come out to expand the college football playoffs. And this has caused a bit of a stir amongst non-SEC and non-Big Ten coaches, athletic directors, presidents, chancellors, governors, and, well, frankly, fans, least important of all. According to Ross Dellinger, this new plan that is being floated would give exclusive rights to the 2 first-round buys. 14-team playoff, 12 makes it an even bracket. You got to have 2 buys if you go 14. The 2 buys would have their exclusive rights held on to by the Southeastern Conference and by the Big Ten. Every year, regardless of record, regardless of circumstances, regardless of strength of schedule, regardless of home wins and losses, regardless of road wins and losses, regardless of all of it, the champion of the Southeastern Conference Championship game and the Big Ten Championship game would receive a first-round bye. I don't have to play the Rob Brown Show Home Edition by asking you, who do you think are the powers that are pushing this plan? This answer is obviously the Big Ten and the SEC, ... And I would be willing to bet the television networks. Here we go again. Why? One might ask. Well, we have had a discussion on this show a number of times since the announcement that they were looking at expanding the 12-team format to 14. One of the chief complaints that we have gotten from college football fans to date is what? With this new model, especially if the ACC and the Big 12 get 2 automatic qualifiers, the conference championship games kind of don't matter as much anymore, do they? Now, they still matter because the difference in going in as the 2 seed versus the 7-8 seed is big. It means you're hosting your first round game on campus as opposed to going on the road. It means you're catching an easier draw in rounds 2 and 3.
I think you're assuming that everyone who wins their conference will be a higher seed. There might be some number 2s that set second in the conference that ends up going over someone who won a conference, like the number 2 in the SEC gets a higher seed than number 1 in the ACC.
That is fair, but the point still stands that a conference champion is preferable to a conference runner-up who is an at-large. You are always going to be a lower seed than the conference champion. So even if it's not about hosting a first-round game, it's still about creating the easiest path through the bracket by being a higher seed and playing the lower seeds next. Why would a TV network be on board with the Big Ten and the SEC owning the exclusive rights to the bye? Because now the B1G and the SEC championship games, now they mean everything again. Now they mean everything. The ACC, the B12, the rotting carcass of the Pac-12, the group of 5, Notre Dame, although they don't play in a conference championship game, so they're irrelevant to this conversation. But everybody else we just discussed, their conference championship game still matters. But the stakes are all in the B1G and the SEC now. The stakes are exclusively on those games. Because a first-round bye, even if you're a 10-2 team, but you win the SEC or the B1G, let's say, hypothetically, so that your Buckeyes go 10-2 in the regular season.
What?
Penn State and Michigan. Okay? Let's say you go 10-2 in the regular season. And then in the
I just want to say, I'm playing this game for radio purposes, but I don't want to.
You don't have divisions anymore. So you go 10-2 in the regular season. And let's say Michigan goes 11-1 in the regular season, including a win over your Buckeyes. But let's say they are the top 2 teams in the Big Ten, so they run it back a week later. They play again. Big Ten championship game on the line, and wouldn't you know it, Ryan Day finally knocks off the Michigan Wolverines. The Ohio State Buckeyes are 11-2 winners of the Big Ten Conference Championship. The Michigan Wolverines, exact same record and a win over Ohio State, but also a loss to Ohio State. They are 11-2, but they are runners-up. Ohio State catches the bye. But let's say this plan goes through. Let's say this plan goes through and the B1G has an exclusive bye. Every year, the B1G's champ gets a bye. And let's say in that same year, theoretically speaking, Clemson goes 13-0, wins the ACC, and for the sake of discussion, let's say they win every game by 21 points. Every game by 21. Doesn't matter the opponent. South Carolina, Florida State, Miami, they beat them all by 21.
This scenario really got far-fetched.
Sure, but I need a hypothetical, and that's what we do here. So they win every game by 21 points. They go 13-0, and they win the conference championship. Ohio State, who lost, again, for the sake of discussion, to, I don't know, Iowa and Michigan, but also recorded a win over Michigan in the conference championship game. They, at 11-2, with a pair of L's on the record, would get an auto bye, while a Clemson team that won a Power 5 conference, went 13-0, won every game, and let's say, again, because I need to point out how ridiculous this is, wins by an average of 3 touchdowns a game, they would have to play round 1 while the Buckeyes get to sit at home.
All right, so I don't have a problem with it because
You're a Big Ten guy.
Well, and the ACC is an inferior conference. There's only 2 conferences anymore that matter, and that's the SEC and the Big Ten.
You don't believe that. You say it because it's fun to say, but you don't believe that. Because if you did, you would actively be petitioning for the SEC and the Big Ten to, as Stevie Nicks said, go your own way. You can go your own way, AA, and do their own thing. Just go be your own football conference and let all the peons go be a little cute whatever, consolation prize. But you don't do that because you know that's not true.
If I were to do it, I would be Lindsey Buckingham. I just want to point that out.
But even if that is the case.
You say I don't do that, but I think you look at it and realistically, that's the direction it's going. We've been talking about that for a long time now, and it's coming to fruition. It's coming into view. That's what it's going to be. That's what it almost is now. So why not go ahead and jump on over there?
So I am.
And by the way, I want to point out, I've always thought the ACC was an inferior conference, and I'm not the only one who's thought that.
I know that. You made that very clear.
They were Clemson's conference every year. And last year, if Clemson would have went undefeated like Florida State they would have been in because it's just Clemson and everybody else.
Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. I don't agree with that.
Clemson is beloved by some people, including your ESPN conspiracy. Everyone, including Herb Street, loves Clemson.
Dude, I don't disagree. But they like Alabama more. Like, here's a theory I have. You can all say it's not true, and you are all liars. Every parent with multiple kids has a favorite kid. Every one of you does it. And I know that because I ask my friends that. And if I hand them a couple of Jaeger bombs and ask them that question, every parent will pick their favorite child.
Don't have a favorite kid.
Sure.
My kids are awesome. I don't have a favorite kid. I just don't.
Okay, every parent except Lonzo has a favorite kid. Now.
I don't like your analogy because I don't believe it's true.
That's fine. I do. Every parent has a favorite kid.
You also hate children, so I mean.
ESPN has a bunch of kids. They got a bunch of kids. They got favorite kids, though, and Alabama's a favorite kid. I believe if Clemson was in the same spot, Alabama still would have gone. They would have made the same arguments. They'd have made the same arguments. But that's a different story, a different discussion for a different time.
And you're wrong, so let's move on.
Cool. So that's a different discussion for a different time. To stick with the discussion we're having right now, the favorite sons of the television networks, if we are talking at the conference level, are the SEC and the Big Ten. By giving them exclusive rights to the 2 buys, now those conference championship games are not just compelling television, they are must-see TV, to the point that they are willing to basically say, hey, everybody else go yourselves, you don't matter. You don't matter. You're second-class citizens. And for all of you that call this show, that text this show, that tweet this show, every time I've talked about NIL or the transfer portal, and you have called this show or tweeted or texted or emailed or whatever and said, Rob Brown, I wish you cared about the sanctity of college football, you had better be bleeped the hell off by this. You better be furious by this. Furious. Because what they have done is basically said, level playing field? We don't give a damn about a level playing field. We don't care about the scales being equal. We don't care about, like we all do at the beginning. Remember, go back to, you don't have to remember, look forward to. You know how at the beginning of the year, when it's fall camp and we're all watching, what happens? We all have these lofty expectations. This is the year. This is our year. You're going down, Georgia. I got your number, Curbs. We're coming for you, bro. Every year, at the beginning of the year, when fall camp rolls around, we all have heightened expectations. But the reason you can have them is because until last season, we have all had at least one underlying belief about college football. And it is that at the end of the day, while the resources might be different for different schools, while the booster clubs and the NIL potential might be different at different schools, at least when it comes down to playing football on Saturday, the two teams that step on any college football field around America are on a level playing field. That. If you didn't believe that, then by definition, you would believe college football is corrupt. If you did not believe that on any game, throw a dart at the schedule on any given Saturday and pick a game, if you did not believe that the two teams in that game were on level playing field, you by definition would believe that college football was corrupt. And now they are trying to push a plan where nobody except the two moneymakers at the top are on level ground. I understand the Big Ten and the SEC are going to make a lot more money than everybody else. That's why Clemson and Florida State, Miami, North Carolina all want in, okay? Because that's just a fact. And it's been that way forever, and we all accept that, and that's fine. But I've always said that is because at the end of the day, can the superior team coming from an inferior conference? Yes, it has many, many times. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to whether it's the BCS or the playoff 4 or 12 or 14, the belief was when the playoffs start, everybody who makes it in is on level footing. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now the thumb is on the scale in favor of the two big conferences, and everybody else can just kiss their rich asses. Sorry, dude.
Down with that. We got 2 words for ya.
Yes, that's it. The folks pushing this plan have just looked at you as college football fans, crossed their arms in front of their body, and they are staring you dead in the eyes because you know what those 2 words are. Everybody who's not the B1G and the SEC. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Lonzo was about to hit me with a Chad Gable clip there.
Number 7, North Carolina beat Notre Dame 84-51 last night. The Tar Heels led at 41-25 at the half. RJ Davis had 22 points and 6 assists. Clemson beat Syracuse 90-75. 25 points for PJ Hall. Georgia Tech nipped Wake Forest 70-69. Pitt over Florida State 88-73. Virginia Tech beat Louisville 80-64. Sun Belt Tournament first round. Coastal Carolina beat Louisiana Monroe 75-71. ASUN quarterfinals. Stetson over Queens University 83-71. The Magic beat the Hornets 101-89 last night. 22 points for Paulo Banchero in the win. Terrence Mann.
All right, guys, 7 away for 15 seconds. I'll be right back. Don't. Dexter said you should probably take down the 2 states, 1 team flag behind you because they're now the North Carolina Panthers.
The year is 1789 in the very young United States of America,
Washington's first request as president was for a letter to be crafted and sent to Congress.
How's the weight loss journey going, Rob? Pretty honestly, Steven, better than the last couple of attempts. I'll tell you what I got big into recently. I found a sodium-free Cajun seasoning, a carb-free, sodium-free Cajun seasoning. And instead of buying big chicken breasts, like whole breast, I have started buying chicken breast tenderloins, right? Where they're already cut into like quarters and pounded, and shrimp. And basically have been for lunch and dinner every day, alternating between chicken and shrimp and putting this sodium-free, carb-free Cajun seasoning and then just putting them in the air fryer because it takes 7 minutes to cook them in the air fryer. And then putting that on top of like a salad. And I went from, in the last 2 weeks, I've gone from 265 to 252. I think my frustration has always been when I'm dropping like a pound a week or 2 pounds a week. When I saw 14 come off the scale in 2 weeks, it was like, oh, okay, I got this. I appreciate you asking, buddy. Thank you. TCU head coach Sonny Dykes, quote, automatic first-round buys for the Big Ten and SEC is like the NFL saying the Cowboys get a first-round buy since they have more fans than the Bengals. How preposterous is that? End quote. Oklahoma State coach Mike Gundy said, I'm a man, I'm 40. But he also said, quote, a playoff format that guarantees a first-round bye to any team, division, or conference before the season starts is unheard of in any sport as far as I'm aware. Based on the premise proposed, a team could be undefeated and ranked number 1 in the country and still not receive a first-round bye because teams were awarded one before the season even began. I don't understand, outside of Lonzo, and I'm going to say this, I've never said this before, being a disgustingly blatant homer right now. I can't understand. Could you imagine if we got to the AFC and they went, sorry, Chiefs, we're giving the first round bye to the Patriots because they've got a larger fan base than you? You would flip out of that chair.
I wouldn't, because they didn't have the first round bye this year and they still won the Super Bowl. So I don't know how that analogy works.
Okay, well, you, my man, the king of ideal world, you are a better person than everybody else.
I would be the emperor of ideal world.
You are the czar of idealism. A world in which nothing is wrong and everything is perfect.
I think that's the definition of a czar, isn't it? They control the idealism.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why I'm labeling you that.
Okay, fine.
The czar of idealism, Lonzo, who orchestrates a world around him in which everything is perfect. Nothing is bad. The birds are drones, but they sing loudly in the morning sky. Crops grow every year. The milk delivery is always cold and on time. It's a perfect world.
I'm slightly lactose intolerant, so probably not milk.
Not in your world. You're perfect.
Yeah, but I will say that there's nothing wrong with dreaming of utopia.
Out here in the real world, where the other 99.99999% of America lives, yeah, when we get screwed, we don't like it. We're not fans. I'm going to tell you right now, the only people who are going to like this are fans of the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And
I don't get your point.
In their opinion,
I have never said that I was unbiased when it comes to this stuff. So why should I act like I am now? Of course, I'm happy that my 2 favorite teams, Ohio State and South Carolina, one's in the Big Ten, the other's in the SEC. I'm golden.
Of course.
Sucks for the rest of you.
Of course.
It does.
Lonzo prefers, though he says contrary on the radio, a world in which the rich are given benefits and advantages over the rest of us. And we all know that because Lonzo's a billionaire. So he likes that the 1% get all the benefits and the advantages in a system that is rigged in their favor.
This doesn't work. You know it doesn't.
What do you mean? You just said it.
Golf course, like basically a one-room shack. Yeah, there's
you just said that because your fans or your teams are in the richest conferences, you are happy with a system that you acknowledges tilts the scale in their favor and takes sports, which is supposed to be one of the few bastions of equality, and says, no, that.
Hey, could you do me a favor and when you're pointing at me aggressively, not have the pen in your hand?
This is how aggressive I am.
Yeah, I'm more worried about that thing flying out of your hand.
Clintoning you with the half point right now. You're getting the full pen, the Jon Stewart pen point with this.
Now you can explain to me what is, but I prefer that you just not, do that because I don't want to lose an eye.
Texter said, Rob, are you getting married during football season? I am, Texter. Despite my decades-long campaign against fall wedding, I am breaking that for 2 reasons. Number one, and this is something that all the married guys in the audience are going to go, yeah, I get it. Number one, that's what my fiance wanted.
That's how it works.
Okay?
I mean, you can do all that bravado. Yeah, I will never do it during football season. And she says, how about this date? And you go, that's an awesome date. Let's do that.
There are 2 reasons. One is that's what she didn't want a spring wedding. Neither of us wanted a summer wedding. We ain't trying to sweat it out in either of our 3 states because we don't want to. And she didn't want a spring wedding. So the fall was all that was left. And then when we started looking at fall dates, I'm not going to sit here because every dude I know that gets married in the fall, what do they all say? Well, we picked a bye week. Right, but it's not a bye week every year, A. And B, all the people you're inviting to your wedding are not all fans of your team. It's not a bye week for everybody. It's not a uniform, universal bye week. You are asking all of them to skip their game that week to come to your thing. But A, she wanted a fall wedding. All right. And scratch that. She didn't want a spring wedding and we weren't doing it in the summer. So our options were we can do it in football season or the winter. And we picked football season. Now, the second thing is the date, September 21st. Why September 21st? Earth, Wind, and Fire. No other reason. I will never forget my anniversary because it's Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'll never forget it. And this is true, I'm a big, smart boy, but I'm very dumb a lot of the time. So by setting myself up with an anniversary date I can never forget, I'm not going to get in trouble like a lot of you fellas out there have.
I don't know, dude. I've heard you not know lyrics. So what if you forget the lyrics to the song?
Do
you remember?
Then I'm literally
September.
breaking the song, and I would be breaking my promise to Earth, Wind, and Fire. And here's the third thing, my dudes, my dudettes. I understand that I am asking a lot. I am asking people to sacrifice. There's a very good chance that, you could have multiple big-time games that weekend. Here is the compromise that we have made. The lady friend has told me she has no issue if I wheel multiple big screens outside to where the reception is taking place. So if your game is on during our wedding and reception and you want to watch it, absolutely no worries. It will be on a TV for you. All of my friends are welcome.
Is that in the budget? Have you factored that into the budget?
We are making room for it.
Okay. All right.
Making room for
all right.
it.
Is that like the last thing you're putting in?
No.
Okay. All right.
Again, all my friends are sports guys. I'm not asking them to give that up to come to my wedding. If your team's playing that night, you're watching it, man. You're welcome. I'm a good friend. Okay. I'm a great friend.
I don't know. A great friend wouldn't expect them to come away from their stadium that they were going to go to just to watch you get married.
Just to be clear, if somebody hits me with the RSVP, regret to inform you I will not attend, and they go, it's because my school is playing so-and-so and I've already got tickets, I accept that. No problem. That's one less dinner I got to pay for. All right?
So you don't have a waiting list if someone says you can't just throw somebody else in there?
Our alternate list is 100 long. It's 100.
So you're still paying?
RSVP no's right now are at a premium for us. I hate wedding planning. I love it. I love doing stuff with my fiance. That's awesome. But the actual getting down to the nitty gritty is obnoxious. Obnoxious. Hey, you know what's not obnoxious? Not Lonzo's views on college football. Right now, those are. But his sports flash is most excellent, my dudes.
I should do it obnoxious. The NFL handed out franchise tags yesterday. Amongst those receiving the designation were Colts wide receiver. I can't do it the whole time. I could. Michael Pittman Jr., Bears cornerback Jalen Johnson, Jacksonville pass rusher Josh Allen, not Josh, but Josh Allen, Patriots safety Kyle Duggar, and Bucs safety Antoine Winfield Jr. Weeks after a National Labor Board approved unionization of college athletes, the first team has taken a step to do it. The Dartmouth men's basketball team voted yesterday to unionize, though the move to make it official is months away. The team authorized a major national union to negotiate on their behalf. Dartmouth is appealing the approval. Tune in this Saturday night at 8 p.m. as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Western Carolina in the first round of the Southern Conference Tournament, right here on your home for Paladins football and basketball, The Fan, upstate. Dude, I mean, come on, Wesley. Remember what show this is. It's like dudes and stuff.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different. What makes you so different than the rest of us? We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship. Tell me more. Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs. How do you make money? We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better. What about client portfolios? We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more.
All right, I got to know what that is.
Excellent sports flash. Oh, let's see. What do you have in the chat here?
That was very much a Seth Rollins laugh by you. Did you hear it? Listen. That's a Seth Rollins laugh. I got to go with that's if I didn't know better, I would say that's Seth Rollins.
Attaboy, Shane. Accountability, baby. Got to do it. Got to do it. I got 199 days to drop like 50 pounds. James said I cheer for 16 teams. SEC, SEC, SEC. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. We compromised and had games on at our wedding. Yeah, that's what we're doing. 100%. Our schools do not have big games scheduled that day yet, but obviously the schedule's got to be rounded out, so there's still a chance. But I don't think they're going to.
I would say every game's a big game for South Carolina.
That's also fair. That's very fair. So we'll see how that plays out. But yes, we have compromised. We are having games on at the time. Do you remember the 21st out of September, Rob? Hell yeah, I do. Hell yeah. Yeah, yes, that's part of the reason. Just the memeability of the wedding date was a go. Ric Flair robe, yes or no? Absolutely yes. She is signed off. She is approved. I have already started looking. Turns out they're not cheap. I don't care.
All right, say you have to compromise between the TVs and the robe. Which one goes?
I don't. I'm not entertained. I'm pulling Alonzo and killing your hypothetical. I've already got them both signed off on and approved.
Is that Joey holding up the belt?
They put some random noobs up against Joey Chestnut in a pierogi eating contest.
Pierogi. I don't think it's pierogi. It's pierogi.
I
hate to correct. He's holding up the mustard belt. That has nothing to do with
Shane
the pierogi.
I started dating, got engaged, and married all on the same date in different years. That's a smart way to do it. Smart way to do it.
I'm glad you pointed out in different years because, I mean, you know.
You think Rob is glad on this show? I can only imagine him on wedding night. Any night that Rob is having a couple of whiskeys goes one of two ways. You either get like quiet, calm, laid back in a chair, Rob, which does exist. I don't get paid for it on this show.
I've only heard you quiet when you're trying to get out of here and working really hard to get out of here.
That's because I'm here. That's because I'm at work. You get Rob in a cigar.
Where obviously it's not fun and it's very strict here. So,
True.
I mean, you know.
True. Yes, wedding night is going to be ridiculous. Any chance Rob breaks out the Marvin Gaye? Rob's band is playing his reception. I don't know what we're going to play yet. Probably a Creed song or 3.
Hopefully you know the set list before it happens. I mean,
Honestly, I don't know set list before gigs.
Really?
I don't know set list during gigs. Our bassist stands in the back, and he calls out songs as we go to match the mood of the bar.
Ah, okay. That's kind of cool.
About 75 songs in the rotation right now. And yes, he calls them out as we play to match the mood of the bar.
So you can remember all that, but there's other things around here. You just
mostly.
Yeah, okay. I think that's the next chord. Oops.
Pretty much.
You ever played the wrong chord so poorly that it messed the entire song up before?
I'm rhythm, so I'm in the background. So by and large, no.
Well, I mean, that's the point. If you did, that's okay. Well, that's good. QC in the first break.
10-4. And off we go into hour number 3, ladies and gentlemen, just like that. Welcome back.
Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy. Thanks so much for asking. I sincerely appreciate it. I am Rob Brown, the great Alonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass this morning. Should you wish to be a part of the radio program, there are multiple ways for you to do just that. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone's available for you. Woo! At 844-326-3663.
Hell yeah!
844-326-3663. You can text us at 71307, 71307. Start that text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and FAN, F-A-N. And we will read them on the air. You can tweet me at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet the great one, Lonzo, at Lonzo on Word. You can tweet us all at The Fan Upstate. And, of course, make sure you check out our live stream, as 132 people are doing right this very second, by going to Facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, Twitter.com/The Fan Upstate, by searching The Fan Upstate on YouTube or The Rob Brown Show on Twitch. You will get to watch all 4 hours of the show 5 days a week. You get to stare at the glorious mane of the great one, and we make it easy for you. Join our live stream. We got a chat that goes on the side. We have exclusive conversations off the air during breaks in that chat. So come by and help us grow the show. Couple of things I want to get to here. First off, I was reading an article last night about the NFL Combine on Yahoo Sports. It was put together by Charles McDonald, who covers the NFL for Yahoo Sports. And a guy, I think, puts out some good stuff, but I did have a problem with something he said in this article, and I would like to address it. He did a winners and losers of the NFL Combine article, which, of course, everybody does at the end of the NFL Combine and basically every other event that happens around the sports calendar. On his winners list, he had some names like Braden Fisk, defensive lineman from Florida State, who was incredible, a 4.78 40, a 9 feet 9 inch broad jump. Oh, by the way, he goes about 270 and did all that. It's pretty impressive. He has names across the offensive line like Amarius Mims and Joe Alt, tackles from Georgia and Notre Dame, respectively. He said winners in the NFL Draft Combine this year were any team in need of a wide receiver. Yeah, why not? Even though Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors didn't work out, Washington's Rome Odunze did. Ladd McConkey of Georgia ran a 4.39. Brian Thomas and Xavier Legette of LSU and South Carolina are big boys who put on the saddle and got to work. Impressed a lot of people. And then he went to his losers of the NFL Combine. For instance, he has Cameron Kitchens, the safety out of Miami, a guy that a lot of folks thought were going to be looking at a probably second-round pick. Cameron Kitchens, a safety, a defensive back, ran a 4.65 40. There were 3 or 4 offensive linemen who ran faster than 4.65. He had a broad jump number of 9.2. I will remind you that just mere minutes ago, I told you about a defensive lineman in Braden Fisk who hit a 9'9" broad jump. He jumped 7 more inches than a safety did. That's a real bad combine. He mentioned Spencer Rattler as a loser of the NFL Draft Combine. Why? Don't worry, I'll tell you. Going into the NFL Draft Combine, there were a lot of analysts that were saying Spencer Rattler might be the surprise of this draft. Everybody wants to know who's going to be the next Brock Purdy. And a lot of folks said maybe Spencer Rattler. He's got the tools. He can make the throws. He showed it at South Carolina. And then Spencer Rattler showed up at the NFL Draft Combine in Lonzo. He finished last in every testing drill amongst the quarterbacks out the combine. Now, the list of quarterbacks who worked out was very small. There was only a very small handful of them, but of the ones who did, Spencer Rattler finished last in every testing metric.
So the testing metric, so they're not taking into account how good he looked when he was throwing the ball.
That is one of the things they tested.
Okay.
Accuracy. Finished last of everybody that was there.
Yeah, I thought he looked pretty good, what I saw.
Sure.
So
I'm not saying he didn't look good. I'm saying of the quarterbacks that were there, for a guy that had gained a lot of momentum going into the combine, a lot of folks are saying he gave it back by having a very pedestrian combine. I don't know if I necessarily agree or disagree with that because, as we've said, the concept of practice warriors, workout warriors versus guys who strap it on and go play on game day, which Spencer Rattler freaking did for 2 years.
A lot of these guys, when they have supposedly subpar days at the combine, their pro day, they just kill it. And I don't know which one the teams care about the most. They should care about play on the field the most, but when you look at that combine and you're looking at pro day, which one weighs the heaviest? I don't know.
One of the things that goes down in the combine that teams are looking at is not just the number you put up on the 40 clock or your broad jump or your cone drill speed or any of that. The other thing they're looking for is how you handle it mentally. Are you coachable? When a guy from a team comes over and goes, hey, on this cone drill, I want you to try this. I want you to get your hand up, put your hand down. On your 40 time, I want you to adjust this out of the blocks or whatever. Do you listen? Do you do it? They do these things, not trying to necessarily screw with your form or your technique, but more along the lines of saying, if we come in here as a coach and we tell you to do X, can we trust that you're going to do it? Can we trust that you are going to take guidance, advice, and maybe most important, instructions at the next level? Because we need a guy who's coachable. We need a guy that we can teach the offense, and when they maybe don't have it down pat, we can go, hey, listen, we're going to fix it by doing this, and know this person is going to do that thing. But see, here's the thing. It wasn't really Spencer Rattler that got my goat about this take. Because as Lonzo pointed out, yeah, he looked bad at the combine. Spencer Rattler doesn't strike me as a dude that I think is a workout warrior. A guy that I look at and go, he's always going to look good in shorts and a T-shirt on a field when there's nobody defending his passes. He's a guy I look at what he did the last 2 years in Columbia and go, yeah, on game day, this dude's got it down.
All right, Keegan on the stream, it has the same thought that I did to a degree. Was he sandbagging? I don't know. That could hurt you an awful lot if you do just enough. And by the way, he wasn't throwing it in the dirt. I mean, just because you tested last doesn't mean you were horrible.
Don't disagree. Still, it's going to raise some eyebrows. For a guy that was moving up the draft chart, it would make more sense if Rattler was the guy that was expected to go like 5 to 10. But I don't think anybody goes to the combine and sandbags. I think he just had a bad day. We'll find out at the pro day. But what really got my goat about this article was on his losers article. He said one of the losers was, and I quote, the combine as a concept. Here's what he wrote, did Senior McDonald. He said, quote, "Things are changing for the NFL as far as the combine and the participation are concerned. This year set a new benchmark when Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. opted to not show up to his podium news conference without notice. LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels and his teammate wide receiver Malik Neighbors didn't even weigh in, let alone do drills. The prospects at the top have figured out that participating can only hurt them. Beyond that, most prospects aren't even going through the full gamut of athletic testing, with many players not taking part in the agility drills. If this is going to be the trend for the combine, the on-field portion of the event may lose its importance. Of course, there will always be helpful events for lesser-known prospects, but it will be interesting to see if the NFL views top prospects not participating as a problem that needs fixing. The draft habit suggests they don't care all that much, which is what the players are reacting to at the end of the day." This, to me, has two different necessary conversations attached to it. One of them is this. I understand that the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, MLS, whatever sport it is at the highest of high levels, owes its existence to us, the fans. The NFL is only $1 billion industry because we as a country spend $1 billion on it every year. It owes its existence to us, the fans. The athletes don't owe you a damn thing. They don't owe it to you to show up and work out. And as we pointed out in the past, for guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., for guys like Jaden Daniels, for guys like Drake May, Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors. These are all top 10 picks. There are a couple of them that maybe could move up a spot or two. Like maybe Jaden Daniels or Kayla or Drake May can jump up, have an incredible combine, be super coachable, super charismatic in their interviews, in their press conferences, say and do all of the right things at the combine, and maybe, hypothetically, theoretically, one of them could jump up and take the number 1 overall draft spot. But realistically, not really. Realistically, that's not going to happen. Realistically, for a guy that's going top 10, and by that, I mean the household names, because Spencer Rattler is obviously a household name around this area. But I promise you, if you go up to Cincinnati, Ohio, they've got a cursory knowledge of Spencer Rattler. They didn't watch a ton of the guy. If you go out to California, the only thing they know about Spencer Rattler is that he's the guy whose job got taken by Caleb Williams at Oklahoma before he came out west to go to USC. That's what they know. So a guy like Spencer Rattler, the combine matters a lot. He can put his name on the map where maybe it wasn't before. The top-notch prospects, all they can do is hurt themselves. And I am going to tell you that unless you are talking about Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville, if you expect someone to hurt themselves for your entertainment, you are, my friend, the definition of selfish. You just are. They don't get paid for that. They're not making more money for that. Some of them could get paid more for it if they go and have a killer combine and somebody in a war room on draft day goes, that Braden Fisk guy, he crushed at the combine. He blew us out of our shoes at the combine. We're going to move him up a round or two in our evaluations. Now that guy made money, but for the guys that Mr. McDonald here is complaining about not showing up, about not working out, the Caleb Williams, the Marvin Harrison Jr.'s, the Malik Neighbors of the world, they can't get drafted higher. The only thing they can do at the combine is lose ground. It's have a bad combine and cost themselves draft selection space and therefore money. They would cost themselves money, and they're not going to do that. So this I want these guys to work out and potentially damage their future earnings for my entertainment, ain't going to get it. Let me fix the combine for you. It's real simple. You send out invites to everybody. That is a potential draft pick. I'm not sending out invites to just any Joe Schmo who laced them up last year. I'm sending them out to prospects. And I'm saying, here's the deal. You show up and you do every drill, or you don't show up at all. Okay? You show up and you run every strength and speed and agility drill. You take the interviews, you do the press conferences, or you don't show up at all and you make it genuinely compelling and not, I'm not really sure what I'm going to see at any given moment if I tune in. Or if you're the NFL, you just acknowledge that this event's not for the fans. It is the one thing we are going to televise that is not for the fans. The draft is for the fans. The opening day is for the fans. The playoffs, they cater all of that to you, to me, to us, their viewers, their fans, their source of financial stability. The combine is the one event that, yes, we'll still broadcast it, but it is the one event that is for the teams. And we are just going to accept that the combine audience is only the guys who know ball.
All right. So I've always thought that the combine was just for hardcore fans. It wasn't for casual fans. It wasn't for people just flipping through and going, oh, I wonder what this is. I thought it was always just for hardcore fans, and that the thing that matters the most outside of people watching are the interviews. That's what this whole thing is about. Getting measurements, getting true measurements, not the measurements that the teams send out as far as height and weight goes. Also being able to see if someone can handle their off season to a degree where they haven't put on 30 pounds or something like that before they get there. I mean, so that you see what their discipline's like, but it's more about the meetings and to a degree, the testing. The stuff on the field is important, but I don't think it's nearly as important as all the other stuff. And I never thought this was a big viewing thing. I'm not into it as much as I used to be. And it's not because of the no-shows or anything like that. It's novelty to a degree, and it's worn off. I like watching the fat guys run the 40 and going, yeah, I was faster than that. I was faster than that. And that's basically all that's for. And I do like seeing some players that I followed in college, seeing how well they're going to do there. But like we were talking about earlier, their pro day is going to be better. This is more about the interview process. And I do, as a fan, like hearing some of the stupid questions that they're asked and how they answer them. And without the combine, we wouldn't know that some people believe there's no space and that birds aren't real.
So first off, the interviews themselves, like the team interviews, the interviews that the teams
that we'll never see. Yes.
You'll never see. You'll never hear. And I know that because I have spoken to NFL draft picks before about them. And they basically say teams go one of two ways. They're either genuinely asking you football stuff. They're bringing up a tablet and they're putting a defensive formation and they're going, how would you attack this? You're calling the play. What are you calling to attack this? Or they go completely off the map and they ask you the classic, what would you rather fight, 1 duck-sized horse or 100 horse-sized ducks? Right? Or whatever the stupid questions might be. And you'll never see or hear those. What you get are the guys getting at the podium and addressing the media. And don't get me wrong, that's absolutely part of the process, because now in the age of hashtag branding, I got to know if I'm a team that the player I'm drafting can protect my brand. I don't want to draft a guy who's going to go up and in his first press conference, grab a mic and start.
All right. Morse code, man. You got to be careful with that. You really do. You're gonna get us in trouble.
Wait, does somebody register when Morse codes are sent over the radio?
I mean, suddenly we're going to see black helicopters here in a minute. It's going to be your fault.
You don't see the conversations, the majority of the conversations that happen between teams in this. I agree with Lonzo. To me, the NFL scouting combine has always been about 4 registered around what the teams want to see, and you appreciate it probably only if you're a sports guy, a big sports guy, or if you're in a position like me, and I need to know who these cats are. I need to know who they are, so when they get drafted, I can just come in here the next day and go, Atlanta got Braden Fisk. Here's what this guy is capable of, and at the combine, he did this, that, and the other. This is, I think, part of the reason why when I see columns like this one that go, oh, the NFL's got to fix the combine's not broken. The combine isn't broken. Now, I could make it more TV friendly if you wanted me to, but I'll be real with you. I don't particularly want to or think that it's necessary.
Yeah, just to make the 40s 2 people running it at once, so then it becomes a race. I mean, there's some things you could do.
I do like the overlay graphic.
Yeah,
the ghost runner.
Unless you're someone who got burnt by some guy who's 350 pounds. I mean, that's never a good look.
No, it's not. Don't get burnt by a defensive lineman, then safety out of Miami.
Although they were disrespectful to Patrick Mahomes, and I think it was a mistake on their part by overlaying him with some other people running faster than him. I mean,
three-peat incoming.
I mean, you guys playing with it. It's to deal with what's going to happen.
Three-peat incoming for the Chefs. All right, we got to run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I have been, despite us obviously being inside of a Carolina Panther market, I understand there's a relatively large group of Atlanta Falcons fans in the area, and I have been giving you a suggestion all off season long about how to win the NFC South next year. But now with the report that Kirk Cousins is considering moving his family to Atlanta, now with, and I'll explain this in a minute, Justin Fields' trade value getting absolutely cratered, I am going to tell you exactly what the conversation going on in your front office is and exactly what decision they should arrive at if they want to bring the red and black to the top of a black and blue division, because they get beat up because they suck, division next year. Rob Alonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show rolls on next. It is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live read, and then we're coming right back. Please stay right there. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging in there. Appreciate it. Quarterbacks in the NFC South are pretty much trash. Baker Mayfield got Tampa Bay barely at 500 and was the division's MVP. Everybody's trash except future Hall of Famer Derek Carr. He's a monster. An absolute icon.
Man, I wish we were on the air now because I would have pulled that because you just said everyone's trash. That would include Bryce Young, by the way. I just want to point that out.
I also said Derek Carr is an MVP, and that's what you latched
yeah,
on to.
Because that's sincere. I saw the R-Truth heart emojis when you said that.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring.
What's the weather? It's rainy.
At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today. Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Take control of your listening experience with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Missed a jaw-dropping moment? No worries.
The Odyssey app makes it easy.
With Rewind, you can relive big moments from Mark Ryan, Rob Brown, Jim Rome, and more. Don't miss out. Just hit Rewind with the Odyssey app on the Bang Upstate. Your guide to the gridiron. The maestro of matchups and the sports world.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate, Rob Lonzo and you. The Atlanta Falcons can win the NFC South next year. Stop laughing. I mean it. And it's not going to be that tough to do.
It's not really hard to win the South. Just gotta you win 9 games. That's pretty much it.
I agree, but let's not forget that the Falcons are part of the NFC South. The Atlanta Falcons actually last year going into the regular season finale had a outside chance to win the NFC South. And they did so with Desmond Ridder, a guy that is technically still on the roster and who his new coach, Raheem Morris, scored a double leg takedown at the combine on before he coached his first game with Atlanta. Well, technically he's already coached his first game with Atlanta, but his first as the actual head coach, not the interim head coach. He said, hey, if we had better quarterback play in Atlanta, I wouldn't be here right now. And by the way, it's one of those spots where, as the Big Lebowski once said,
you're not wrong. You're just an...
Correct. So I'm going to make this easy for you, Atlanta Falcons. And I, as a New Orleans Saints fan, and this is true in my real life, this is Rob Brown pulling back the veil and giving you a little insight to the real guy. I hate your football team, okay? I hate them. I don't like them at all. They low down, they dirty, they some snitches. I don't like them. But I'm about to help you win the division. There are 3 options on the field for the Atlanta Falcons next year. 3 options on the table. Option number 1 for the Atlanta Falcons is the big time option. Option number 1 is you trade away your next few years of draft picks and you go out there and you get yourself
the computer just told me how to optimize.
I figured that.
Yeah, I didn't touch anything. It was,
It's AI. It heard you. It hates you. Option number 1 is you spend a lot of resources. You jump up to either 1, 2, or 3, and you get a quarterback. Now, there's good news and there's bad news with that. The good news is there are 3 guys that are considered the top 3 guys by everybody. They are Caleb Williams out of USC, Drake May out of UNC, and Jaden Daniels out of LSU. Those are the top 3 guys. What are you noping about that? That's just a fact. I'm not arguing one of them is definitely number 1 yet. I'm saying those are the 3 guys that are consensus quarterbacks 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Who goes in it? No, I'm not even going to ask you. There is no answer to that.
No,
those are the top 3 guys.
No. I agree that that's probably the consensus. But
I'm not saying you have to be excited about those three guys.
that's the thing. It's not. No one makes me go, man, I got to watch this guy play no matter where he goes.
I mean, Jaden Daniels.
I know you've said that, but you still haven't convinced me yet.
So you can go to either Chicago's spot at 1 or New England's spot at 3. I do not think the Washington Commanders are moving out of their spot at 2. They need a QB. The good news is I think both of those picks are probably available. Now, Chicago, to get all the way up to number 1, you're going to have to put together a draft package that makes Mike Dickas for Ricky Williams look like chump change. I don't know if you want to do that. Super high cost. The question is, how much do you believe in the reward if one of those 3 guys is like definitely your dude?
All right. I don't want to do the fighting over Bryce Young thing, but isn't that a cautionary tale? Don't you look at that and go, well, maybe we don't want to give up so much for someone that's a gamble?
Only if you believe Bryce Young is a bust. Okay? If you believe that, then yes. If you don't, then no.
Well, in the same draft class, you got CJ Stroud. So what I guess
at 2.
I guess you go, okay, am I getting a CJ Stroud or am I getting a Bryce Young?
Sure. And here's the thing. If you, again, all of this hinges on the assumption you believe BY is a bust.
For 1 year, he was. And it depends on if you're a new coach hoping to stay where you're at, or if you're an old coach going, this is my shot, I got to do this. I think that those things factor in a big deal.
So I think the other thing is Carolina could have just as easily taken CJ Stroud and everybody would have gone, hey, they jumped up, they made the right pick. Assuming, and for the record, I don't think CJ Stroud would have had a much different year than Bryce Young did. But we're not going to get into that right now because we'll take the whole rest of the hour arguing about something that we've already argued about 100 times. And I'm willing to bet we'll 100 more, and that's fine. But had Carolina gone CJ Stroud, and assuming he had a similar year that he did in Houston, he would not have. But assuming he did for the sake of conversation, then yes, we'd all be looking at this and going, see, it can be done.
If you look at 1 year returns, again, this is a gamble. One way or the other. Or you could just get someone who ends up middle of the road and showing, hey, we drafted right. We're not there yet. We knew we're not there yet because our team isn't there yet. I think maybe you're not going to get a CJ Stroud. You prefer that. You prefer getting someone who will show improvement throughout the season. But none of these guys jump out like years past quarterbacks have jumped out. And these guys they're so even because no one really stands out.
So again, that is a subjective opinion based, because to me, if you are going to draft a guy, the correct answer is you go to 3 and you get Jaden Daniels. The problem is I don't think you can wait until draft day to acquire the number 3 pick. I think you got to do it early. And the risk that you run is that Washington takes Jaden Daniels off the table at 3. You end up with Drake May, and I feel the same way about Drake May. I think he's going to be a good enough guy, but I'm not looking at him like a lot of people are and going, there's the next Aaron Rodgers. I don't see that out of him yet. We'll see if I'm wrong. The second option that you have if you are the Atlanta Falcons is you can pay a little bit less and you can go get Justin Fields out of Chicago. Chicago has the number 1 pick. The fact that they are asking for 3 Kings ransoms worth of resources to get to number 1 tells me they got the guy they know they want at number 1, likely Caleb Williams. Agree or disagree, they feel that way, as do most NFL draft heads. So the good news there, if you are the Atlanta Falcons, or frankly, anybody who's desperate for a QB, but Atlanta at 8 is one of the higher picks in the first round for a team that also happens to need a QB. Once you get outside of that top 3 spots, there's maybe one other team that has a higher draft pick than Atlanta that needs a quarterback as like the position of value or of priority, I should say. So if you are the Atlanta Falcons, you are real happy right now, because the trade value of Justin Fields came tumble in during the NFL Combine. You had a number of quarterbacks who were already working their way up the board, guys like Spencer Rattler. You had a number of guys at the Combine who stepped up and played really well during the Combine, and there's some attention to being paid to them. The price for Justin Fields has come down, according to, again, the reports out of the draft heads. So Justin Fields can probably be acquired for, like, we all thought it was going to be like a 3rd and a 5th. It might be like a 4th and a 6th for Justin Fields. If you are one of the people, as I believe Lonzo is, that believes that the problems for Justin Fields were not of Justin Fields making, they were because the Bears are hot garbage, then maybe that is the right move. The third option you have, and one that has created, I think, unnecessarily and without justification, the third option on the table that you have right now is Kirk Cousins. The belief right now is Kirk Cousins is done in Minnesota. That's the belief. Minnesota's going to go get their guy, like their future guy. And that is one of the teams that I do think could end up jumping ahead of Atlanta to go get that 3 spot, or maybe put together that 3 Kings ransom to go to number 1 and get their guy. But the point here is Kirk Cousins is likely going to be available out of Minnesota. And as we told you yesterday on the show, the reports are that Kirk Cousins has been telling people inside of his MySpace top 5 that he's considering moving his family from Minnesota down to Atlanta. Now, I can think of about, I don't know, a billion reasons why I would make the same decision, even if I was going to keep playing ball in Minnesota. But the belief is maybe there's something already cooking there. And maybe this is Kirk Cousins either already engaged in conversations with the Atlanta Falcons and he's just getting himself prepared, or as some of the conspiracy theorists on social media have said, maybe this is Kirk Cousins' attempt at trying to lure the Falcons to him as opposed to the other way around. Kirk Cousins on the board, and by the way, wouldn't cost you draft picks. You wouldn't have to make a move like you would for Justin Fields. You just have to pay him. But there's one more option on the table. Everybody on the stream, watch Lonzo's eyes, because they're about to roll so far back in his head, they come all the way around to the other side. The other option is you wait till the league new year and you bring in Russell Wilson. Now, here's why that's interesting. It is not because of the opinions.
Please do that. Please.
It is not because of the opinions on Russell Wilson's talent, ability, success, lack thereof, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you for adding that part before I got to.
The reason why Russell Wilson is an intriguing possibility for Atlanta is because you can look at him as a short-term guy. He's already said he wants 2 more rings. That means he is committed to playing at least 2 more seasons, which gives you time, if you were Atlanta, to find Russell Wilson's replacement. But there's one other aspect of this. While I do think, and Lonzo and I made a bet yesterday for lunch, that Russell Wilson will absolutely be on an NFL roster when the NFL draft rolls around, there is not a long line of teams looking to sign him. That means that Russell Wilson is probably going to be available to you as a Lombardi-winning Super Bowl quarterback who you will be able to get at or just slightly over league veteran minimum. If you're the Atlanta Falcons, that means you get a guy who's got a ring, you get a guy who played for another, and you get him for just over $500,000, and all that money can be spent elsewhere on this football team, which is needed.
That's so nice, but here's the thing. If you are Russell Wilson, you think so highly of yourself and believe you still have that talent, and you say you want 2 more rings, why would you go to Atlanta?
Because of a couple of things.
Aren't you? I'm saying if you believe so much about yourself, you're not going to go to a team that's not much better than the team you're leaving.
I will answer the question for you. first off, and I mean this, I think Atlanta is. I don't think I can explain enough how held back this team was last year by Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. Okay? If I plugged 17 other starters onto this team, they win 2 more football games. I mean it. Here's what I'll say. Again, watch Lonzo's eyes. I put Bryce Young on that team, they win 3 more games. That's how bad Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke are. I put CJ Stroud on that team, they win 5 more games. That's how bad that team was. If I put Bryce Young or CJ Stroud on Atlanta last year, they win the division, they're in the playoffs. That's how bad they were hampered by quarterback play. So, if you are trying to sell Russell Wilson on this, I am going, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. We got Cordarrelle Patterson. We got players here. We got players I don't think Denver had last year. All we missed on the offensive side of the football, we can make an argument about the defense later, but on the offensive side of the football, all we needed was a quarterback, and that's you, dog. Option number 2, or reason number 2, and this goes further down that path. In order to win the Super Bowl, you have to do what? That's right, class. Make it to the playoffs. If I told you right now, Zoe, that I could give you any team you wanted and you can put them in any division that you wanted, and if they made the playoffs next year, you win $1 million, what division are you putting them in? The damn NFC South.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
The damn NFC. The only other competition would be the AFC South, and I'm still taking the NFC South. So if I'm Russell Wilson and I want to win 2 more Super Bowls, which means I've got to make the playoffs twice, why the hell would I not try to do it with a team that's got offensive talent and plays in the worst division in football? So Atlanta has options here. They can go big swing and go get one of the rooks. They can go slightly smaller swing and go get Justin Fields. They can go no swing at all and get Kirk Cousins, but pay a lot of money for him. Or they can spend very little money and get Russell Wilson. 4 levels of economic impact on the team. Which one is the right one? It's Jaden Daniels. Go to 3 and get that kid. Go to 3 and get a game changer. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
They're trying to make my eyes roll because I can stop them from rolling, as I just proved.
You wanted to, though. Paulo.
Only on the Russell Wilson thing.
Number 7, North Carolina beat Notre Dame 84-51 last night. The Tar Heels led at 41-25 at the half. RJ Davis had 22 points and 6 assists. Clemson beat Syracuse 90-75. 25 points for PJ Hall. Georgia Tech nipped Wake Forest 70-69. Pitt over Florida State 88-73. Virginia Tech beat Louisville 80-64. Sun Belt Tournament first round. Coastal Carolina beat Louisiana Monroe 75-7.
All right, guys, I'm going to step away for 45 seconds. I'll be right back. Don't go.
I love now that I can listen to this commercial and know what those are. Finger joint boards. We know what they are.
Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount ticket at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. 5% offer subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store at Lowe's.com/credit for details. U.S. only.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy? And you get unlimited 5G data, $25 a line for 4 lines on the unlimited plan, and an amazing price with no contracts. Should you switch to Total by Verizon? Definitely. Find a store or switch suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Monthly rate when you activate without a pay plus taxes and fees. Discount begins the month after you enroll. Additional terms apply. See website for data management practices.
You're hurting the brand today, by the way. I don't know what's going on over there. Why you don't have your glasses on? I mean, I know what you're doing.
I have my contacts in today.
I know, but again, I guess you built the brand. You could tear it down. I mean,
We're going abroad for the first time in years to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just
Kenny Pickett is Steelers starter for 2024 season.
I would not be shocked.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.
Twitter is asking, what is your take on the movie No Country for Old Men?
Never seen it. Didn't interest me. What do I care what old men think? See, that's why you need to wear the glasses, because your contacts are bothering you.
Texture says, so we have Rob Brown on the record saying CJ Stroud is better than Bryce Young. Atlanta would have won 3 more games if Bryce Young was the starting quarterback, he said. So that we're clear. I will say again, and based on this text, again and 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 again, I do not think that Bryce Young is anywhere near his ceiling. I think Bryce Young, much like many other quarterbacks, Drew Brees included, is going to be...
You really need to change that. You do, because every time you say that,
yeah, I know.
There's got to be something else in there that you can use.
I think Bryce Young...
Potential. He's nowhere near his potential.
Let me use this analogy. I'll use an analogy for the fellas on this one. I think it was... I'm dating myself. I think it was Jeff Foxworthy that pointed out when it comes to the difference in sexual drive from men and women, men are like firecrackers. You touch the fuse, they go off. Women are like a diesel engine. You got to warm them up for a long time, but once they're running, they'll run for a while, right? That's how I see CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. I think CJ Stroud came into the league playing pretty close to what his top max potential was, whereas I think Bryce Young is a guy that's going to take some time, but when he gets to that upper level of his potential, he's going to be there for a long time. I felt the same way about CJ Stroud that I did Anthony Richardson. These are guys that because of the way they play the game, they came in the league already towards what their max potential is. I'm not saying there's not room for growth. I think there's room for growth for both of these cats. But I don't think that there is as much room for growth for CJ Stroud, for Anthony Richardson, as I do think there is for BY.
Yeah, when you lose that much, there's got to be room for growth.
Again, I love that you say when you lose that much, as if there's not 21 other dudes on the football
The
team.
narrative painted historically.
I don't give a damn about the narrative.
Okay, but most people seem to, is that you win with the quarterback, you lose with the quarterback. The quarterback gets the win, the quarterback gets the loss.
Yes, it is a mindset of the filthy, non-ball knowing casual. Okay? I'm sorry to go full jackass on it, but that is the mindset of the full, non-ball knowing, filthy casual.
All right, I got to get a hold of HR. You called me filthy. I don't know. I showered this morning.
He lives on a compound, people. He's got to collect rainwater at night to shower in the morning.
It smells really good, though.
Big Irish Spring guy over here. So, yes, right now, it is objectively true. Even though knower of ball Rob Brown will point out to you 100% that the difference in teams between Houston and Carolina is large. That CJ Stroud is playing quarterback better than Bryce Young is. That's not an argument. It's not up for debate. That's a matter of fact. It's a statement of truth. The only kind of statements we make on this broadcast. But I think long term, Bryce Young has a brighter future down the line. I think his ceiling is more Drew Brees than CJ Stroud's is Michael Vick. Now, that being said, I think either one of those cats is better than Desmond Ridder today. I think today, like right now, March 6, 2024, if you said, Rob, you can have BY or Desmond Ridder, who you rolling with? I'm going with BY hands down. No questions, no thought. That's an immediate answer.
If you could have Justin Fields or Let's Ride or Mr. Grills, which one are you going with?
So if you are taking draft the quarterback off the board, because what you're basically asking me is going back to last segment.
Those 3 free agents,
option are you taking?
Which one do you think is the better quarterback?
So you're giving me the option between Justin Fields,
Kirk Cousins,
Grills, or Russell Wilson?
Yes.
It's hard for me not to say Russell Wilson, man. It's not. He's got more experience. He's got, I think, a better understanding of the game than Justin Fields. And I have here's the thing. The discussion is there about, is it Justin Fields or is it the Bears? That's a fair debate to have. Was the failure of Justin Fields in Chicago on Justin Fields, or was it on Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles and the Bears?
Safe bet of the 3 is going with Kirk Cousins. That is the safe bet.
I actually agree with that. The safest bet is Kirk Cousins. The reason that Russell Wilson is even in this discussion is because you're getting him cheap as hell. You're getting Russell Wilson for probably $1 million a year tops, honestly, because I think there's probably 20 teams or more that would pass on Russell Wilson. And of the, let's say, a dozen that would take him, a solid chunk of those are getting a quarterback either in the draft or via a trade down the line. On top of that, if the report about him moving his family to the ATL is true, kind of sounds like Kirk wants to be in Atlanta, would want to go to the Atlanta Falcons. And if that's the case, maybe you get him at a better price than other teams would. So I actually agree with you that Kirk Cousins might be the safe option. But my thought here, great one, is if you're Atlanta, you're looking at the NFC South, very winnable division for you next year. I don't know that I want to play it safe. I think I want to roll the dice and see if I can't hit on something special, because even if I miss, Desmond Ridder had me 1 win from a divisional title next year. For the record, I'll take Kirk. I'll take Justin Fields. I'll take Russell Wilson. I'll take CJ Stroud. I'll take Bryce Young. Hell, I'll take Drake May over Desmond Ridder. Any of these guys are going to perform better than Desmond Ridder. So I think I might roll the dice, because worst case, I miss out of this group and I pick the wrong guy. The wrong guy of this group is still better than Desmond Ridder.
So I was going to say, you need to clarify rolling the dice. So anybody is better than Desmond Ridder.
Of these group of guys, and I mean, when I say this group of guys, I am talking Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson. Those are the 6 guys. One of those 6 is your starting quarterback in Atlanta next year. I will take all 6 of them over Desmond Ridder. And all I needed last year, assuming nobody else in the division gets better, and I don't think anybody's going to, with the exception of maybe New Orleans, and I'm not banking on that. If nobody gets better in the division, and I needed 1 more win to win the division last year, I will take any of those 6 cats over Desmond Ridder. So I'm going to go ahead and swing for the fence on this.
By the way, really quick, Ray on the stream says, I hear what you're saying, but the Falcons aren't a quarterback away from being good. That's not what he's saying. He's saying her quarterback away from winning the NFC South.
Correct. You are a quarterback away from winning the division. Not a quarterback away from winning the Lombardi, but a trash can of a division, a bin of a division. Sports Flash.
Wow. Clemson picked up a 90-75 win over Syracuse in its final home game of the regular season last night. The Tigers were led by P.J. Hall's 25 points on 11 of 19 shooting as the Clemson offense shot over 56% from the floor and 42% from deep. It was expected, and now it's official. The Carolina Panthers placed a non-exclusive franchise tag on Brian Burns yesterday. The tag means if Burns doesn't sign a new deal, he'll play on a one-year, $24 million deal next season. The designation also means Burns can seek a new deal elsewhere, with the Panthers having first right of refusal and receiving 2 first-round picks if they reject it. Tune in Saturday night at 8 p.m. as the Furman men's Paladins team takes on Western Carolina in the first round of the Southern Conference Tournament, right here on your home for Paladins football and basketball, The Fan, Upstate. She said, but Arthur. I don't think anyone can say but Arthur. Everyone says but Arthur Road. Shouldn't be funny, but it is. All right, it should be funny. But Arthur is funny. I don't know why.
Starring Oscar nominee Annette Bening, Sam Neill, Jake Lacey, and Allison Brie.
Secrets slow poison in any family, and what you don't know can hurt you.
Apples Never Fall. Streaming March 14th, only on Peacock.
When something happens to your car, you might say, what you really need to say is something that can actually help.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Just like that, State Farm is there to help you file your claim right on the State Farm mobile app. So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11.
So the old time slot, hour 4, certain things went away. We'll find out if certain things go away in this time slot. I'm trying to.
That's very cryptic.
Yeah, well, look at our number right now. Look at our number right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
It was intentionally cryptic. In case I'm wrong. I don't want to offend anybody. All right, I do want to offend some people, but I don't want to offend them.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
The fourth, the final hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, my friends. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown and the great one Lonzo with you. Multiple ways for you to become a part of the two-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the year. The first is the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. 844-326-3663 is the number. 844-326-3663. You can also get at us on the text line at 71307. 71307. Start that text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You can shoot us a tweet at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, or at VFanUpstate if you want to go about it by using Twitter, now known as X, or X, formerly known as Twitter, whichever way you prefer. I want to throw this out there. Ladies and gentlemen, baseball segment number 2 of the offseason. You all entitled me to 3 per week. I have used one already. I will use another one here. I will start with something that I don't intend to spend a ton of time on, but it is newsworthy. Ronald Acuna Jr. was dealing with a knee injury to his right knee, the reigning, defending, undisputed 2023 National League Most Valuable Player, the only member of the 40-70 club ever, popped a knee the other day in spring training. And there were a lot of concerns that Ronald Acuna Jr. might miss opening day or more because it was the same knee that Ronald blew his ACL out in a couple of years back that made him miss dramatic playing time for the Atlanta Braves. Ronald Acuna Jr. went to a doctor out in Los Angeles, the same doctor that he entrusted his reconstruction when he tore his ACL to, who did the analysis and said, fortunately, for our Atlanta Braves and for Ronald Acuna Jr., it is not a significant injury. It is instead an inflamed meniscus, inflammation in and around the meniscus in his right knee. Should go away with time. Ronald Acuna Jr. will take a few more days off, and then he will gradually increase his baseball activity until opening day on March 28th, when the Bravos take on the Philadelphia Phillies to get the season underway. You will likely not see him again in spring training. If you do, it'll be like maybe the very last spring training game, but he is good to go. Now, let me get to the segment that I do want to spend a little bit of time on. We know that Major League Baseball is expanding. Now, which direction they expand in is, as of right now, up in the air. My belief, you are getting one domestic club and you are getting one international club. You would take my baseball segment away.
I'm sorry. According to Adam Schefter, before free agency begins next week, the Broncos have given soon-to-be-released quarterback Russell Wilson permission to immediately begin speaking and meeting with other teams in their home cities. Per sources, Wilson's free agency begins now.
There you go.
Now, like right now. This was a minute ago. So he's a free agent right now. Okay, back to baseball.
Get on the horn, ATL. He's free.
Breaking news brought to you by
BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, beat the books with BetQL. Grab the BetQL app and don't forget to listen to Bet for the Cycle, the nation's #1 sports gambling show, if you ask my mom, on the BetQL Network, noon to 4 every Saturday, hosted, of course, by former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker and Hating-ass Mario, and also I'm there.
I hear you talk a lot of baseball there.
Talk a lot of baseball on the show. Hey, I'm going to keep talking baseball. So, my sneaky suspicion is that you are going to end up with 2 baseball teams to bring Major League Baseball's total to 32 and put it in line with the National Football League. I suspect you are going to end up with 1 domestic club and 1 international club. I suspect your domestic club is going to end up in Nashville. I think Nashville is the leading club. Now, there are plenty of other cities across these great United States that are in the hunt for a Major League Baseball expansion team. But I think Nashville is the spot that's going to get it. Why? Number one, Nashville is one of the hottest tourist destinations in America right now. That's the reason Las Vegas is getting the Oakland Athletics, because baseball doesn't care which butts are in seats. They care that butts are in seats. So if you can stick a club into a major tourist destination, you dramatically increase the odds that you have more butts in seats than if you stick it into a place where you've got a good domestic audience, but hey, you know sports as well as I do. That's why you listen to this radio broadcast. If the team sucks, people in that area will not go see it. You put it in a tourist destination, and now all of the sudden, when the Nashville whatever they are hosting, say, the Atlanta Braves from 3 hours down the road, Bravos fans will flood to Nashville. Why not make a weekend of it? When the Nashville whatever they are hosting the Minnesota Twins, Twins fans might go, yo, our club is remarkably average. I don't want to go see them in Minnesota, but they're playing in sunny Nashville, Tennessee. And I think that's the reason Nashville gets a club. The other club is going to go international. It'll stay on the North American continent, I am sure. But I think the other team is either going to end up in Montreal, Canada, or Mexico City, Mexico. Why? Well, because Mexico City is a place that is already gotten, and this season will be getting regular season Major League Baseball games. Mexico City is a city of about a gazillion people, and baseball has become a massive part of the Latin and Central American countries. Mexico City could build a 150,000 seat stadium and it would be filled every single game. Now, I've had some people say, Rob, do you think that Mexico City would be safe for away teams to travel? I think part of what would happen for Major League Baseball to elect to place an expansion team there is they would demand, knowing that it would be a boon for the local economy, I think that they would demand that the local and state government of Mexico City, Mexico, go all out in increasing the viability of Braves fans and Nationals fans and Phillies fans to go down to Mexico City to watch their team play. But again, as I mentioned, at the end of the day, the concern is that butts are in seats, not which butts are in seats. And if Mexico City can fill up an 80,000 seat arena every week with 100% Mexico City, whatever they are, fans, then baseball is going to be perfectly fine with that. But none of that's the hot take. Texter says the argument for Nashville could have been made for New Orleans decades ago. I agree, but they didn't do it. I think that you're probably not going to see New Orleans considered a baseball-friendly town. You look at the NBA team that's in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now that the Pellies are good, all of a sudden folks want to be in the blender on weeknights to watch Big Z, B.I., and the boys ball out. But before the Pelicans were this decent iteration of the Pelicans, by the way, they won by like 40 last night over the Raptors. Before they were this version of the Pelicans.
Zion's still good.
Zion's still healthy and playing.
Okay, cool.
Had a decent game last night.
That's a record, right?
My dog Trey put up 34, including 10 threes last night. His team can ball a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, everybody wants to be in the blender. Now, all of a sudden, friends of mine, family of mine that never gave a darn about basketball, now they're all in. The problem is if the team goes back to stinking, so will the home field attendance.
You need to give those fair weathers what for.
I do, routinely. Now, none of that's the hot take. That's all kind of secondary to set up the second hot take. Last night, your boy had about a half hour downtime where I was just kind of watching some college basketball, watching some NBA shooty hoops. And I was watching the shooty hoops and thinking to myself, I got a baseball show coming up on Saturday. Well, it's a gambling show, but we do a lot of baseball. Why wouldn't we? We got a former Major League Baseball player on the show. And I thought, what would be a fun little experiment? What if when the expansion teams come in Instead of taking the lazy way out and just adding one to the American League and one to the National League, what if I redrew the divisions? What if I made the divisions make sense for Major League Baseball? So that's what I did last night, Lonzo. If you follow me on Twitter at The Rob Brown Show, you've seen it. And here's what I came up with. I came up with 4 8-team divisions. Instead of doing 8 4-team divisions, I said, let's make this a little wild. Let's do 4 8-team divisions. Here's what I came up with. Out west, in the Western Division of the Rob Brown Show League, I'm going with, obviously, the Seattle Mariners, the Colorado Rockies, the Las Vegas Athletics, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the San Francisco Giants, the San Diego Padres, the LA Angels, and the LA Dodgers. That's 8 teams, all of them on or around the West Coast, with the exception of the team in the desert, Arizona, and the team in the mountains, Colorado. But those felt like they just kind of fit out west. No problem with that division. Then I went to the Northeastern Division. My Northeastern Division includes the Montreal whatever they becomes, the Boston Red Sox, the New York Mets, the New York Yankees, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Baltimore Orioles. All Northeastern teams. You've got the 2, I suspect, if Montreal gets a team. You've got the 2 Canadian teams locked up in the same division. You've got the 2 New York teams locked up in the same divisions. I have protected the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry, probably the only rivalry in Major League Baseball that even registers on the minds of Americans, all due respect to Dodgers, Angels, Braves, Phillies. The only one that registers on a national scale is Yankees-Red Sox. That's why ESPN puts the Yankees and the Red Sox on TV 9,000 times a season. Then I went with the Southern Division. In the Southern Division, I went with the Nashville whatever they becomes, the Atlanta Braves, the DC Nationals, the Texas Rangers, the Houston Astros, the Tampa Rays, and the Miami Marlins. Now, this is the only division that has a team, maybe 2, that kind of doesn't fit, because I've got the Cincinnati Reds in this division and I've got the DC Nationals in this division. Now, DC kind of makes sense to me for 2 reasons. Number one, when I put the Northeastern Division together, there's so many teams littered up there, somebody had to get left out. Washington, D.C. is obviously its own geographic entity, but it's Virginia, right? It's Virginia. And Virginia is by and large considered, to most people, a part of the South. So DC, if I have to leave one team out of the Northeastern Atlantic region, the only one that even fits outside of that division to me is the Nationals. So they go in the South. And then there's the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are in this division solely because I had to get it to 8. And there wasn't really, I had to pick in order to make this work. There's only one team I could have come up with, but I had to make it work. And I basically had to pick between the Guardians, the Reds, the Cardinals, and the Royals. I went with the Reds. Here's why. Because the last division is what I called the Midwestern Division. In the Midwestern Division, Lonzo, I have the Minnesota Twins, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Detroit Tigers, the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox, the Kansas City Royals, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Cleveland Guardians. I went this direction because I wanted to keep the Cardinals and the Cubs together. If the Red Sox Yankees are the only rivalry that registers, the only one that maybe registers is Cubs Cardinals, right? If I ask a non-baseball guy, watch this, I'll do it. Lonzo, noted guy who knows of MLB, but maybe isn't the baseball fan that I am. If I asked you to name Major League Baseball rivalries that aren't Yankees Red Sox and aren't Cubs Cardinals, what other rivalries would you come up with that do not include 2 teams that share a city?
Atlanta, St. Louis.
Not really. I mean, good guess. I don't hate it, but not really. Atlanta, Philly would probably be it. But I couldn't put Philly in the Southern Division. And then if I did, who would I move? DC's the only candidate. So I just had to pick somebody. The only team I considered leaving Cincinnati in the Midwest so that they could stay with Cleveland and you could have the Ohio rivalry. And then I'd have to move Kansas City into the South. But here's the thing. There is nothing, with all due respect, nothing Southern about Kansas City, Kansas, or Missouri. There's nothing Southern about that team.
They are south of something.
I mean, they're south of Minnesota.
There you go.
So I guess you got that going for you, which is nice. Now, that's not even the hot take. Those are just my divisions. And I think they're pretty good. I think it's a pretty good map. If you want to see the actual drawn out map, you can go to twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show and scroll down a couple of pages to last night. That's where I got real bored and tweeted this. But I had one other thing, and this one kind of sparked a debate with some folks. Get rid of the National League and the American League. Just get rid of it. Here is my proposal post Major League Baseball expansion to 32 teams. The first one I had was, let's not even do divisions. Let's just have 32 teams. And let's send the best 12 teams to the playoffs. Let's do exactly the college football model. 12 teams go to the playoffs. The best 2 teams get a bye. So if the Dodgers end up with 104 wins and the Braves end up with 102 wins and everybody else is below 100 wins, the Dodgers get a first round bye, the Braves get a first round bye, and then the next 10 teams down have first round games or whatever the numbers work out to be. You can go to 14, you can go to 12, you can go to 10, you can go to 8, whatever you want to do. But you do it in a way that you have 2 teams on a bye on both sides. And then you have a bracket. Let's say we go with 6 teams on both sides. Let's go 14-team playoff. You go 6 teams on both sides. The team with the worst record coming out of the first round ends up matched up with the team that got the bye on both sides. The 2 teams with the highest and next record down end up playing each other. You go from there. And you just get rid of the National League and American League. I don't know why we need it. For the record, I'm for this in the NFL too. I am for getting rid of the NFC and the AFC. Let's just have everybody play everybody, and let's send the best teams. And here's why. And this happens in baseball more than it happens in the NFL, but it does happen in the NFL. You know what I hate? I despise when baseball sends like the winner of the AL Central to the playoffs, a team that won, let's go see, let's go pull the numbers. The Twins won 87 games last year. They won that division. The Twins would have been in 4th place in the American League East with 87 wins. They would have been in 4th place in the American League West with 87 wins. The Rays had 99. The Jays had 89. The Rangers had 90. The Mariners had 88. All of those teams had more wins than the division champs of the AL Central. All of those teams should have been in the Major League Baseball playoffs before the Minnesota Twins, but the Minnesota Twins got in. It's a little less that in the National League last year because the Brewers ended up with 92 wins. They would have been 2nd place in both the East and the West because you had a 100-win team in both of those divisions. But in the American League, yes, the Twins should have been at home in round 1 of the MLB playoffs, and the Mariners should have gone ahead of them. So if you get rid of the American League and you get rid of the National League, now you're just taking the best teams. Now if we're saying a bye plus 6 teams, right? 2 buys. So last year, the buys would have gone to the 104-win Atlanta Braves and the 101-win Baltimore Orioles. Then you would have had in the playoffs last year the 100-win LA Dodgers, the 99-win Tampa Bay Rays. And then we'd have just filled in the rest of the bracket with the next best, remaining 10 teams record-wise, or shrink it down. Shrink it down. Point is, get rid of the NL, get rid of the AL, send the best regular season teams to the playoffs. We don't need divisions. But if you are going to go divisions, then everybody's got a chance to change. I am going to go with a Western division and the Southern division in the NL. I am going to go with the Midwestern and the Northeastern divisions in the AL. We send the best 6 teams or 7 teams from both sides, and we play it out. But I'm at the point now where with the expansion, I am good to get rid of the AL and the NL. It doesn't matter. It used to mean something. It doesn't mean anything. Everybody's playing under the same rules. The NL and the AL, unless you are 80 years old, don't mean anything anymore. Get rid of them. Send the best teams to the playoffs. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Texas says, Rob, please be considerate of the weather outside before talking baseball. I was tired already from the rain, and after that segment, I need a nap. All right, don't be dramatic. That was segment number 2 of baseball. I got one more. I'll figure out where I'm putting it later in the week. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. Now. All right, guys, pardon me for 30 seconds. That was 29 seconds on the dot. You're welcome.
Will you open with Georgia? A likely loss. If you then lose to Florida State on October 5th, roughly a month after the start of the season, Clemson fans are saying, oh my goodness, here we go again, another long year. On the South Carolina front, there are some options. Kentucky week 2, a huge game. Ole Miss week 5, the same. But I'm going to go Texas A&M November 2nd. Why? It's homecoming. It's a home game. Texas A&M is rebuilding with Mike Elko. Gamecock lost in that game almost assuredly.
Nothing like walking out of the restroom and seeing a picture of 2 Cowboys holding trophies. So what could you do to convince me to watch this Old Country for Old or No Country for Old Men?
All I can
Is this a Tarantino thing?
All I can tell you is, no, it is not a Tarantino film.
Okay, so it's not F-bomb every other word.
It is definitely a grown-up movie.
Yeah, that's not grown up.
It's a Coen Brothers movie.
Okay, all right, so maybe half.
Here's what I'll tell you. Here are the arguments I would make in its favor. Javier Bardem plays probably my favorite bad guy in any movie ever. He's genuinely scary. Most bad guys in movies don't scare me. He genuinely scares me.
I don't care about Oscars. Those are movies that no one watches.
It is suspenseful. I will give Skrilla that. It is very suspenseful. Most of the movie, Tommy Lee Jones is really good. The only problem I have with it.
Would it keep me awake on a rainy day?
Yes, I think it would. The only problem I have with it is that they made 90% of a movie and then they just stopped. Like the movie just ends.
Okay, then you've told me about that before.
Yes.
So why would I want to watch that?
Because it is good until it just ends. When it just ends, it's like, what happened? And the fans will tell you, oh, well, they leave the ending obscure so that you can kind of create. Well, I don't want to do that. I would just make movies if I wanted to write my own movies. Also, the new trailer for Godzilla Kong dropped last night. Big monster movie guy. Can't wait. Told Courtney, IMAX on opening weekend. It's a good movie till it just ends. Yes, correct, James. That's the best way to put it.
I watched the behind the wrestling thing yesterday with Russo and the one where Hulk Hogan walks out with the belt, and it was very interesting. Hulk Hogan sued WCW, and Russo won because he said he was playing a character, disparaging a character, and the courts agreed with him. Because you are not the character you play, you're a character. And how much Russo and Bischoff hate each other, and them having both views on there, and it's like. And then I think it was Meltzer or someone on there said they're all a bunch of liars. I don't know who to believe. And
the Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back. Let's talk college basketball here for just a minute. Clemson's win last night over Syracuse. 15-point win, 90-75 your final. And I'm going to say this. A 90-75 scoreline is a good win for a team that was listening to its own fan base start to absolutely slam the panic button after the L they took on the road to Notre Dame. Now, I told you all after that L, calm the hell now. Calm the hell down. All right, relax. Take a chill pill. Phil? I don't know. My mom used to say that. Just relax, okay?
throwing the fill on at the end, I don't know.
It's not that bad. You played Notre Dame in a place that is relatively tough to play, and you caught the best Notre Dame has played all year long. It's not, I mean, it's a bad loss. I'm not sitting here trying to argue that it's not a bad loss. I'm saying in the context of what the game was, there was no reason to panic. This team could very well have come back to the house, could have shut it down, could have panicked, could have said, hey, look, we're already in. Let's just kind of coast it out. Let's save what we need for the ACC tournament. Let's see if we can improve our seed by making a run deep into the tournament. Who cares about a Syracuse game? And by the way, Syracuse, a 20-game winner. It's a good team. It's not great. It's not the Syracuse of old under old Jim Boeheim, but it's a respectable team. It's a tournament team. Came home and dominated. More importantly, and you guys, if you're Clemson fans that have heard me talking about South Carolina men's basketball under Lamont Paris, what has been my war cry about that team all year long? It's bipolar. It doesn't have it has an identity. It has an identity, but sometimes they freak out and they get away from that identity. I have pointed out the game against Alabama. I pointed out even more dramatically the game against the University of Auburn University War Eagle Tigers. And I said sometimes this team panics a little bit. And when this team panics, they get away from doing what they do. Last night was a wonderful opportunity for the Clemson Tiger men's basketball team to panic under Brad Brownell. They could have bought in to what you guys as fans were throwing at them. It's Brownell season, baby. It's time for the annual choke job. We're just getting it out of the way. As if this team didn't clinch a lock spot 2 weeks ago in the big dance, right? Even if they go get busted up in the ACC tournament, you clinched up a spot in the dance 2 weeks ago, if not longer. That's not what they did. Last night they come home and they said, probably need to work the ball to PJ Hall a little bit. Probably need to let our leader be our leader. Probably need to let our best player be our best player. Probably need to make sure the ball gets to and goes through the big man underneath. And that's what they did. They said last night at a spot, because late in this game, Syracuse went on some runs. They went on some runs that a lesser team likely would have lost its composure against. They went on some runs that a team that wasn't built and wasn't mentally stable likely would have panicked. That's a 7-point run for the Orange. They're back within single digits. We still got 5 minutes to play. Whatever shall we do? But Clemson did not do that. They locked down on defense. They recognized what Syracuse was trying to get done. They recognized what it was that Syracuse was doing on the offensive side of the ball. They recognized the set that Syracuse was trying to run. And Brad Brownell did something that most of you have told me he can't do. He adjusted in game. He adjusted offensively to Syracuse's defense. He made sure that the ball was getting to the big man inside. He was making sure that they were utilizing PJ Hall to set up Gerard and the rest of the guys on the outside. And on the defensive side of the ball, when he recognized that Syracuse was trying to play a fast transition game and outrun a slightly larger team in Clemson, and when they got the ball down the floor, they were trying to misdirect Clemson with a lot of ball movement around the perimeter, they just adjusted, expanded the defense outwards, took that away, said if you want to beat us, it's going to be one-on-one dribble, drive, and score. It's going to be basketball guys v. basketball guys. And Syracuse didn't have the basketball guys to go one-on-one with Clemson on the outside to compact the defense and reorganize that outside-in offense they tried to run. That's what I was told Clemson failed at. Now, it does to me feel different this year than any of the other years that I've been here covering this team. And I think it is, as I said earlier in the week when we were setting up last night's game and setting up the finale on the road against the NC State, don't turn your back on the Wolfpack. I think it is because there's no question here, right? This team's in. They're not playing for their lives. In the years I've been here before, this team was playing for their lives, either on the bubble or recognizing that they needed to get into the ACC tournament. And once they were into the ACC tournament, they had to make a run through the ACC tournament if they wanted to get in. They don't have to worry about that this year.
So he's perfectly safe because they're legitimately in the NCAA tournament.
They are legit. They could lose out. They could not win another game in the regular season or the conference tournament. They are going dancing.
I think the regular season is over.
They got one more game.
Do they? Okay. Yep. All right. So let's say they lose that game. They lose their first game in the ACC tournament, and they lose their first game in the NCAA tournament. He's still good.
I think so. Because even though that will be disappointing, and again, a lot of it's going to depend on where they end up seeded-wise. I think they are likely going to be a 7 seed. They could go up to probably as high as a 5. If they lose to NC State and they lose in the first round of the ACC tournament, maybe they drop down to an 8, depending on what some other teams in that same region of the bracket do. But I think they're likely going to be probably a 7, maybe a 6, maybe an 8, but probably a 7. And then it's just going to depend on the draw of the bracket. Good news, I think they're going to be in the South. Bad news, the South this year's first round is being played mostly down in like the Texas region. So it's not like it's next door in Charlotte where Clemson fans can go load up the gym or whatever. But I think they're going to be in a pretty good spot. So, yeah, I think Brad Brownell is safe for one more season. Because what has been the target the last few years for Clemson? At least since I've been here, I've been told the minimum level of acceptability is make the tournament. Now, you would like to think that anybody is going to go above the minimum level of acceptability. But here's the thing. The minimum level of acceptability is still acceptable. Make the dance. Make the dance out of a good ACC. Now, again, I've already told you, I think the ACC has done itself no favors. I think it is a good conference. I think it is a respectable conference. I think the teams at the top, North Carolina, Duke, I think they're good basketball teams. I think the teams that are middle of this conference compete in most other conferences with the exception of a very good SEC this year. I think the teams at the top, I think the teams in the middle compete everywhere. But the ACC has done itself no favors, even being as good as I think it is. Their net rankings are trash as a whole. As a conference, the ACC's net rankings are bad. The ACC's net rankings are bad despite Clemson, not because of. Clemson actually had a real good net ranking. Net ranking takes in large consideration your out-of-conference schedule, of which Clemson had a pretty good one, including a win over South Carolina early in the regular season or early in the non-conference slate. So because of that, I think that Clemson probably deserves even more credit than they're already getting by having been locked in as a team that was locked in 2 weeks ago. And that win last night at home, holding serve in the crib against Syracuse, not letting, despite multiple runs, Syracuse climb back into that thing and make it interesting. And instead, allowing your seniors to have their moment in the spotlight over the last 2 minutes of the game once it was out of reach. That's a team that finishes, man. That team could have panicked. That team could have been in a real bad spot, but they didn't. They finished. James says Clemson plays Wake Forest. Will be tough since it's at Wake Forest. Wake Forest last night lost to Georgia Tech. And again, I've been trying to convince y'all, Tech's not a bad team. That's not a bad basketball team. They're not good, but they ain't a bad team. I said it was Wake Forest. It is, I said it was NC State. That's my bad. It is Wake Forest at 6 p.m. Saturday. Wake Forest just lost to Georgia Tech. Wake Forest is a beatable team. Now, the good news is outside of seeding for the conference tournament, this game by and large does not matter. Right? You're already in. You're already locked in. Now it's just a matter of where are you going to be seated for the ACC tournament in a week and a half. But I think they're in a pretty good spot, if we're being honest. I think they're in a pretty good spot. Then on the flip side, on the other side of the Palmetto Bowl of basketball, the Palmetto Basketball. Yeah, I like it. I'm sticking with it. South Carolina. The Gamecocks have themselves a very interesting contest coming up. The Gamecocks of South Carolina will find themselves this evening at the house taking on the University of Tennessee. This is a team they have defeated once already. The Volunteers are 23-6 on the season. You will keep in mind, the Tennessee Volunteers have 6 L's, one of which is to South Carolina. The other teams Tennessee's lost to, number 2, Purdue, number 1, Kansas, number 17, North Carolina. They did have a WT bleep loss at Mississippi State. You lost to South Carolina, a good team. That win, by the way, remember, got South Carolina ranked. That's how good of a win that was. and they lost at Texas A&M. Texas A&M was another one of those teams that was very up and down this year. There were games that it looked like they were tournament. There were games that it looked like they weren't even NIT caliber. It was a weird loss. So really 2 weird losses for Tennessee, 4 legitimate ones, South Carolina being one of them. Now you got to crack at them one more time again. And this time, if you are to knock off the Volunteers of Tennessee, a team that sits at 23-6, it would improve South Carolina's win-loss total to 25-5. So you would be effectively 1 game behind them in the regular season win-loss record, but you would have a season sweep against them. Let's go back to that game that South Carolina went to Knoxville and won 63-59. You had 18 out of Cooper, you had 16 out of BJ Mack, and you had 13 off the bench from Miles Studi. You have the blueprint. You have the blueprint. This game is going to be a tough one. This Tennessee team is very good. Let's also be real clear about this. South Carolina is also a tournament lock. They are not missing the tournament. They could lose this one. They could also lose the opening game in the SEC tournament. It will not matter. By the way, they do still have one more game remaining, is on the road at Mississippi State. They will win that game. Not a question. That's a money line. That's actually a lay the points favorite for me with South Carolina. So really the only regular season game they have left that I'm concerned about is obviously tonight against Tennessee. Look, this is real simple. It's not real simple. It's difficult to do, but I cannot let Dalton Connect do what Dalton Connect did in the last game. 31 points on 11 of 24 shooting, 3 of 8 from deep. He ended up with 7 boards, a pair of assists in this one. Here's the spot you got in trouble. South Carolina had a decent size lead in that game over Tennessee. And very late in the game, they let Dalton Connect come alive. And once Dalton Connect came alive for Tennessee, the rest of the team fed off of him. You know how I've said a number of times that to me, the biggest question mark I have, the biggest concern that I have for South Carolina is mentality. The biggest concern that I have about South Carolina is that the moment something goes wrong, the Gamecocks, for whatever reason, lose their mind. Tennessee's kind of the opposite. Tennessee plays good ball, but once they get a little emotion, once they get a little juice, they don't get away from it. You have got to hold off Dalton Connect for as long as you can. I need to make anybody else carry this team. Here's the thing. You go back to that L, there was one other player for Tennessee that got to double figures. Santiago Vescovi got to double figures with 10. I have got to hold off Dalton Connect for as long as possible. I've got to make sure that we don't lose our mind and that Tennessee never gets in a rhythm. If they get in a rhythm, you're in trouble. Take Connect out of this game early. Get them in foul trouble. Double them up outside the three-point line. Whatever you got to do not let him go. Because once he gets going, you're in trouble. Don't let him get going. It's real simple. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap this up. My name is Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Y'all, this is the Fan Upstate, baby. Is Alonzo best man for your wedding? Alonzo, could I get you in a tuxedo?
Yes. I look good in a tuxedo, by the way. I have pictures at home if you want to see.
From when?
From a tuxedo.
Right, from when?
It was a long time ago.
I want it. Is it like a big frilly shirt, like a
Oh,
pirate shirt
no,
tuxedo?
no. It was the cummerbund and the tie and stuff were puce.
Ah,
That's when we learned what the word puce was.
I don't know what the word puce is.
It's pinkish.
Like salmon?
Yeah, look it up. That's all I can say.
I don't know how do you
puce.
spell puce?
I don't know. I don't.
Pusche.
No, there's no sh in there. It's puce.
Puce.
Sorry if I didn't enunciate better.
Color. Okay, it's not salmon. You know what it is? It's depressed pink.
Okay, depressed pink.
It's depressed pink.
All right, that pink looks depressed, man. I don't know what's wrong with it.
I'll show you all. I'll show you all.
So there's a picture of me in a tuxedo.
That's puce.
Okay.
That's depressed pink.
All right, I see what you mean.
It's like pink, but without the like vivaciousness.
Took the pop out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a picture of me doing the Reitzel pose, which is this. For those of you out there looking, it's the Reitzel pose, and side view, and got quite a few dates out of that. They were blind dates, but friends showed them pictures, and look good in a tux. Now the question is, if you're in a tux, is the hair up or hair down? It's probably hair up, though. And I have been in a fashion show, so there's that. All right, time to ask Rob what the X is going on. The first thing that's Xing, I think, is kind of self-explanatory. Hashtag National Oreo Day.
Big fan of Oreos, but I'm going to go a step further. I appreciate greatly that Oreo has started providing us with variety, right? Standard Oreo, classic Oreo, 2 wafers, little white cream in the middle. Fine.
So double stuff. You're not down with the double
It's
stuff.
not just double stuff.
Okay. All right.
I mean, yes is the answer. Because for me, ain't no better Oreo than ripping the double stuff off and making a quadruple stuff Oreo.
Ooh.
That's the ball game right there. Can't beat it. But I'm going to tell you what's sneaky good. I'm going to tell you what caught up with me. The future sister-in-law introduced me a number of years ago, and if it wasn't for Rob trying to be less of a person, these are on the daily snack list for me. Golden Oreos.
Yeah, I've had those before.
They are sneaky good. I'm a chocolate guy. Okay, everything I want for dessert, I want chocolate. You want cheesecake? I want chocolate on top. I'll take a chocolate cake over a vanilla cake every time. I'm a big chocolate guy. I didn't think ever that Oreos would be topped. Golden Oreos are sneaky.
There's a major problem with those. No Oreo smile afterwards. I mean, there's no the golden Oreos.
Some of us, Lonzo, and this is true. Some of us prefer not to have remnants of past meals haunting us for days
it's
gone by.
immediately after. There you go, questioning my hygiene again. The next thing that's Xing is Meta.
Meta, of course, the company that owns both Facebook and Instagram and Threads, yesterday went down for like a while. It was down for a while. And when it went down, what did Rob Barron do? He went to Twitter, now known as X, and checked it out because it was still up. And could it have been that just a server went sour?
One server
Meta?
Took everything down.
Real big server.
Okay.
One real big, or like 2 real big servers went down and took. No. It was yet another cyber attack. Yes, because that's if the terrorists were going to go cyber attack, where they would go
Yeah.
is to make sure that you guys can't share the 970,000th picture of your kid doing something I don't care
You can't
about.
explain this one away with a sun flare, though. I'm sure they'll come up with something
I
interesting.
say you could. What I can say is it's one company running everything on the same site. It happens.
Okay.
It
All right,
happens.
All right.
We've had our stuff in this building go down in the past. It happens.
You just see, you have this acidity, this negativity, this lack of belief that there's such a thing as cyber attack. It's like
No,
you don't because you always discount the possibility that it could have been a cyber attack.
No. I am not discounting the possibility. I am discounting the probability. It is not that it's possible. It is that so many people immediately run to, oh, that's definitely what it was, and causing unnecessary panic and strife amongst the masses. We are better than that, and we are here to stop it.
Didn't realize when you make your camera go dead, it actually makes a sound. Maybe it normally does.
My
it.
camera didn't go dead this time. It was the cable, like this cable.
Oh, okay.
Is kind of loosey goosey.
So so you pulled it out of the hub.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
The next thing that's actually cyber attack did not happen there. He pulled it out of the plug.
Correct.
It could have been cyber attack, but it wasn't.
Could have been.
Because now we know.
Wasn't.
Again,
the terrorists are not coming after me or Facebook.
They could come
would
out.
shut down Wall Street
They
first.
could come after Facebook. They're definitely not coming after Threads. The next thing that's Xing is William Regal.
All 74 people on Threads would be real upset.
Way to go. He's sticking it to Twitter, aren't you? William Regal is Xing.
I do not know why William Regal is trending. I'm just going to say that I'm very happy that William Regal is trending, because the more people that get introduced to William Regal in their life, the more people will realize that professional wrestling is cool.
All right. So I know it's spoiling, but he showed up last night on NXT.
If William Regal showed up,
walked out and talked to his son and his son's group.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you should see it.
If
immediately you're thinking BCC, but it's not. If
William Regal rolls out to the ring, something's happening. They don't trot out the behind the scenes actual general manager unless something needs to be handled.
Well, he's
Professional wrestling is cool.
He's been back with WWE for a while. I think this might be his first appearance.
I think it is his first
on
appearance
camera
since he's been back.
His music went off and people were pretty excited about it. All right. And finally, the last thing, I tried to avoid doing this, but the chance to actually say this on the radio, I've got to do it. Jewish space lasers is trending. And I looked up and the reason why, but just getting to say Jewish space lasers, I mean, and you hear Dr. Evil in your head.
With the risk of lightly sprinkling some politics here in the end, a couple of years ago,
which is why I didn't want to do it.
California wildfires, a particular congressperson who is known for their conspiracy theories said, is it possible that these wildfires are being set off by a Jewish space laser? And it has been my favorite, hilarious, dumb thing. People, I'm asking you, stop electing idiots. This is for everybody, not one side or the other. Everyone. Stop electing dumb people.
Someone asked her about it, and she told them to bleep off. So you need to look that up. She used your favorite word. So,
Again, please, America, on behalf of America, I am begging you, stop electing dumb people to the most important positions on planet Earth.
It just makes me think of History of the World Part 2 and Jews out in space.
Jews All right, that's it for us. Y'all have a lovely rest of your Wednesday. Rashad Beard and Fight Club on tomorrow's edition of the Rob Brown Show. Come back. We'll do it better. I promise. This is the Fan Upstate. Yeah!
It's like, why did the bed stop? Well, it's because,
Our truth was talking.
We all talked to bed.
That's why.
It happens. Yeah, I looked at that and immediately saw it was politics and didn't want to use it. But at the same time,
you didn't know about the Jewish space laser
no,
before today?
because believe it or not really a politics guy.
Believe it or not.
I have my side and everything, and I'll do a little bit of jabbing, but I don't, whatever. I just want money in my pocket. That's all. And then I remember I work in radio.
I was going to say, you've made some bad life choices if that's your
Well, that's a little obvious.
All right, dudes, you're all spectacular people.
Yeah, I know. Way to catch that. So that might have been a little bit yeah.
Excellent.
I'm just repping my my other job, that's all.
Believe it or not.
And you control without talking. It's fun.
Never thought I could feel so free.
But do you know what that's from?
Yes, it's a television show. It's from an old television show. It's from, come on, Brown, you know this. I can see it in my head.
By the way, that Josh, it's executive producer. Get it right. So the guy over all the producers is not a political guy. See, you ruined it by giving him the name, James.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have got it. See it in my head, but I couldn't have got it.
There is such thing as and believe it or not, on Word, not everything's politics. Some people are into some other stuff and they actually talk about it. And then there's a show on Saturday that doesn't talk about politics at all on purpose. You should check it out. It's called The Upstate Pulse. Greatest American Hero, by the way, one of my favorite shows of all time. And proof why you should always read the instructions and not lose them. See you, Wesley. Wesley's out. That means we should just end it. He said he's done. So,
Later.
He's been there like the whole show. So you should end it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we're out. Hey, y'all have a lovely rest of your day.
Thanks
Thanks
you,
for
Josh.
hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. Tell your friend about us. If you're one of the 153 people watching on Twitter and you enjoyed the show, come back tomorrow and Friday and next Monday. And then just forever until we stop doing this at some point. I hope. Fingers
All you
crossed.
people who went to X because Meta crashed on you. Thank
Had
you.
nothing better to do but show up and hang out with us. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back. Have a great day. Goodbye.